Gonçalo, rega a mesa, ele come constantemente, é incrível. De manhã à noite nunca passa o apetite, é insaciável. É verdade, ele engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Ele engole e vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor, está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor e está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Gonçalo, rega a mesa, ele come constantemente, é incrível. De manhã à noite nunca passa o apetite, é insaciável. É verdade, ele engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Ele engole e vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus
Hi guys, welcome back to another live stream. I hope you all had an amazing day. So, today we're going to be talking about the harsh truth. Welcome. Before we get into the content, Don't forget to follow me on Kick. We're trying to reach 800 followers. Not only that, we're trying to get verified here on Kick. So I would appreciate if you guys followed, not just followed, but also participate in the stream by watching the stream, chatting in the chat, or dropping a sub. So we can be one step closer towards our verification. We do stream at the same time on YouTube as well. So I'd appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. We're currently at 87 subscribers. We're trying to reach 100 subs. So I'd appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. Go check out the additional content I give to you guys on other social media. So don't forget to follow me everywhere and enjoy all the content. And big thank you for GoToWeek for the affiliation. Now let's go into the streams. Let's keep going. So, as we always do, we are gonna talk about the a little update of the war, what's going on and shit like that. So before we get into the reaction of said information and of the war, I give a big shout out to Riyadh again. Amazing person that extracts all the information, gives us all the information necessary, the proof behind it, and how it makes sense to connect each dot. Very amazing. And not just him, also his brother Myron Gaines, and two amazing people that again know how to extract all the information, put out there and connect all the dots. Very good people that know the truth and nothing but the truth. Now let's talk about the updates of said war, what happened this past week. Very excited. A lot of shit probably happened when it comes to diplomatically and politically, probably. Not when it comes to the war, military, probably it's pretty much the same thing still. Except the ceasefire that was cancelled because they had enough. But, you know. And not just that, we're going to give you guys a little update when it comes to the oil market, like we always do here. Last time it was at $100, which it was very bad. And now, I mean, then there was the shooting that happened in the White House. They probably caused that shit to drop the fucking oil, some shit. But we don't know yet. We'll see. We cannot make theories or anything like that about that shooting apparently in the White House. But let's continue for the beginning information of the beginning of the week. Here we go.
Everyone's been using it. Pete Hegseth uses it. Every time I see Pete Hegseth talk and testify with Kane, they use this. Now their argument is they were building up their ballistic missile program to shield their nuclear program. That's like what they say every time.
Well, funny enough, like they started the war on the false pretext of Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That was the whole motivation, which they told
Why
the
is it so shit quality, bro? I put 1080p.
American public, but
I guess
attacking Iran.
this is
I
1080p,
don't think
bro?
it was a minute ago, but attacking Iran, which they told the American, hedging at 60%.
Why is it so
stupid
bad
because
quality?
that is the very thing that's actually
You
going
guys-
to
you
push
guys
them
see
to
all right?
get to weapons
Like-
grade 90% and make a bomb. Like if there's any time that
That's
Iran
okay.
was going to race to a
Sorry,
nuke
guys,
or
for the
make a
bad
bomb,
quality,
it could be
but
as we're all having this
I do
conversation
not know why
right
I have
now,
bad quality.
or
It's
later
at
on in the
1080p.
coming months. And that's what all the top analysts are saying, like Robert Pate, Scott Horn, and all these other guys. They're saying,
Oh, yeah.
if there's any
I'm a bit ropey because of allergies, so I might use a lot of tissues. So let you guys be warned. Allergies are the fucking worst, especially at this time of the year. So yeah, I might use a lot of tissues. And it's fucking horrible.
time that Iran actually bolsters up their enrichment, it's now. And look, they've had 50 days of peace. Effectively, maybe some tit-for-tat strikes in the Strait, but they've had 50 days to bolster up their missiles program, keep up their stockpile, move or excavate all of the rubble that covered the entrances for these underground cities where they access these missiles and these launchers, these mobile launchers. And so while they're doing that, who's to say they're also not enriching past 60%? They have every reason to do so. And what better time or motivation than now? If Iran becomes a nuclear power and they control the Strait of Hormuz, not only they're going to make tons of money and be a very powerful country, they might be the fourth most powerful country. And that's what all the analysts, the top guys, are saying. It'll be the United States, China, Russia, and then it will have to be Iran. And they'd be the only nuclear power in the Middle East next to Israel. And Pakistan's technically not in the Middle East, but next to Israel. And the United States just cannot freely attack them at their own will whenever they like if they have a bomb. That would prove to be a disastrous decision.
And Israel expands. They're right there in 5th place, and they take up everything that the U.S. lost in this war. All that, all those bases in the Middle East and all those information centers, that goes over and gets absorbed by Israel. Did you see Obama? Obama was flexing how the Iran nuclear deal, which Trump was demonizing so much. It seems like we're trying to get to that point now, and he's like, "Oh, I had it. Let me be clear. This was my deal." He makes a great point. It's like what we're trying to get to now is we had it clear. The Iran nuclear deal. I was the GOAT. I had him.
That's pretty
had
good.
him under my finger.
Yeah, I always give Obama credit for the JCPOA being probably the best way to handle that issue. Look, you're never going to be able to handle a problem like that fully without any type of weak points. But I would argue the JCPOA was probably the best route to do it. And then, just so you guys know, on February 27th, Trump had something that was better than the JCPOA because they basically had everything what the JCPOA had on top of no stockpiling. That is a key thing that the JCPOA did not have. So Trump could have gotten the political win and said, okay, I got a better deal than Obama. I got a better JCPOA, etc. But what I've always argued is that...
Oh yeah, before we continue, in this video, since there's 3 people talking, I don't need to adapt really my setup and my scene. But in the next video, probably I'm gonna have to do it. So as soon as you guys be warned.
The nuclear bomb angle is simply it is a domestic strategic talking point that is utilized to rationalize the war in Iran for the dummies in America that don't understand foreign policy and geopolitics to a deep level. Because anyone that actually understands
the fuck was that?
What the fuck is going on here knows how ridiculous the concept of attacking them for a nuclear bomb would be. They don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles to even deliver any of these things to the United States. They've always been a threshold.
Okay, what the heck is this?
Quite frankly, the real reason why we say that is because if you say nuclear bomb, they can't have a nuclear bomb. They're a bunch of crazy jihadis. Well, to an average American that's an idiot, that sounds good. That sounds okay. We're doing something good. Blah blah blah. But the real reason that we really attacked them was number one to help secure Israel's overall security because the 6-day war, the 12-day war proved that Tel Aviv was not untouchable. And then number 2, we were trying to weaken China in a way by removing some of their, some of their energies, or one of their energy resources, which is Iran. But the problem with that, because this is what Trump's strategy was from the beginning. Trump thought, okay, I'm going to go into Venezuela, we're going to kidnap Maduro, take that shit, and then have control of Venezuela. Stole that shit, right? Then he was like, okay, that's going to make Cuba fail because, and we're going to tell Mexico not to give them support anymore. So Venezuela taking over, we got the energy. Now Cuba is inevitably going to fall. Give it about 30 to 60 days. In that time span, I'm going to go ahead and bomb Iran. Hopefully that'll lead to a revolution. 96 hours, we'll have a new regime in place. Then I come back and circle back to Cuba now that they're suffering, that they don't have any energy and they have 22 hours of, no power. Boom. We take over. We negotiate with Cuba, take them over. Then I go to China in a position of power because I control 3 countries that they used to have an enormous amount of influence in: Venezuela, China, and Cuba. And I can go to Xi Jinping and have a position of power when I negotiate. That was the original plan. And for those of you guys that don't know, Trump was originally supposed to go to China late March. That was the original plan, but he had to push it back damn near 2 months because of Iran took way longer than he thought. But the original plan was topple Venezuela, go to Iran, topple Iran, put in a friendly government, then come back, circle back, collect Cuba now that they're suffering with the energy crisis. And then I go to China with all 3 countries destabilized, no influence in our side of the hemisphere. And on top of that, one of your biggest people that you buy energy from, Iran and Venezuela, who you get a discount from with their oil, now I control them. What do you want to do? That was his goal and he failed.
You failed it.
Wait, I just noticed that sign behind you, Myron. You have what says, "In this house, we believe women are dumb, trannies are mentally ill, blacks are crooks, run America, Indians." Wait, can I say, you're on YouTube. Can I even read the sign?
Because I don't swear in it. So you got it. It's all insider stuff. So it's YouTube safe to a degree.
Okay. Wait, what about whites? You're missing. There's no white people on this one.
Whites get made fun of enough. I call them cucks for letting women run them around.
Yeah.
Come on, white guys aren't cucks, bro.
Nouveau Gillette Labs Body. Notre rasage pour le corps le plus sûr.
We don't care about. We straight up just don't care.
Can I say, you're on YouTube. Can I even read the sign?
No. What the fuck? No.
Okay. Wait, what?
Do this, please.
For letting women run them around.
Come on, white guys aren't cucks, bro.
Bro, the biggest issue that white dudes have is they let their women run all over them.
In general,
is
I
true.
agree. I do agree.
I'm not gonna
Yes,
lie.
that-
Muslim niggas got their women in
That
check.
is my biggest criticism of white men is they let their women run shit, and that's why this country is failing. Because there's nothing worse than progressive liberal women, bro. They destroy the country.
Turn your camera on, Nico.
It was just something was glitching.
That's why the president chose to act.
Yeah.
In response to that, Iran has decided that they're going to take an international waterway and turn it into theirs and charge tolls for it. We're not going to allow that to happen, and that's why there's a blockade. It's a direct result of what they've done. So if everyone's ships can't get out, Iran's ships.
So the situation is horrible. Let's make it worse. It's a very good idea, America. Let's make it worse. As you're going through peace talking, so you backstabbed. So you technically backstabbed for the third time. It's a good decision, by the way.
Can't get out. They can't be the only one that benefit from it.
So
and I
dumb,
think on the
bro.
issue of
It's so
tolling and on
fucking dumb.
militarizing, in essence, what Iran is doing, the Chinese side today was very clear that they oppose that.
They oppose exactly what?
They oppose what Iran is doing. I mean, they oppose the militarization of the straits and which an international waterway, and they oppose charging a toll, which is what Iran
They
is claiming
really
to try to
don't
set
care
up. They want to set up a
They-
system.
they
That's
actually don't.
diplomatic lip service.
That's
That's
exactly
Diplomatic lip service.
precisely.
That
That's a
is
great way to
not
put
true.
it. They could care less because the strait
don't
is not
care.
affecting them nearly as much as it's affecting everybody else, and that's because they've been strategic allies for 25 years. So whatever Iran needs to move through the strait, Iran will make sure that happens.
That's so bullshit. We all know he's lying,
Iran
bro.
will make sure that happens, as well as the fact that they've.
How can you, bro? How can it be one of the images for fucking America and you're lying to everyone? It's so obvious that it's not true. Like they've been honest for years. Why would they? What?
And giving them weapons in the back door to fight against the United States. Arguably, I mean, what would you say, Myron? When that US-15, that F-15 jet was shot down like a few weeks ago, I don't know if you remember that, Sneeko.
You think it was China?
No, I don't think it was China. I think Iran may have utilized some Chinese radar systems. That's something that they've been supplying them for a while. They used a surface-to-air missile. Maybe it was some radar that they used. However, the jet was really low. But all of the U.S.
They might not even have needed it because the F-15, that's not even a stealth fighter jet. But yeah, they did purchase Chinese surface air missiles and Chinese radars to detect stealth aircraft. So it's very probable that they used Chinese technology for that.
Yeah.
So
all
why do you
of
think
these
this guy's
military
an expert
assets-
talker? Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna clarify that. It's not that. Look, I didn't say he was smart. I think he's a good orator, and I think the bar is really low for Trump. Like, I think when Rubio talks, it is unfortunately a breath of fresh air. Like, oh, this guy's coherent. He can string together a sentence. He knows how to answer something politically, which means giving you a satisfactory answer that doesn't actually meet the requirements of the question being given at hand. So, like, that's why he's better than JD Vance to me.
You got to remember, bro. That, like most Americans, I'm going to be very blunt about this, are stupid about foreign policy. So when they hear someone like Marco Rubio speak, right? If you did not know
That's
all
so
the lore,
true.
if you did not understand the Middle East and what's going on over there and the different proxy groups and everything else like that, and you're only relying on Fox News and you're only hearing their narrative, this sounds very convincing to someone who doesn't know. That's what my brother's saying is that like Marco
True.
Rubio is a significantly better orator on their foreign policy and their strategy than Donald Trump is. He's not as
Why would I listen to Marco Rubio? I need to go put money on Chud the Builder's head. I need to go advocate for his assassination. I don't want to listen to the Secretary of State. Chud the Builder is loose. I need to celebrate his jail.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody
I'm
who
focused
actually listens, that's good. Anyone who actually listens to politics and stuff, I just think Marco Rubio answers questions the best from JD. I think JD Vance is like, I'm not saying he's stupid, but like when he talks, it's kind of painful. And I think Marco Rubio is like the perfect middle ground. Did you see Stephen A. Smith endorsed him? Like, I'm seeing this weird alliance. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people kind of come from the shadows and voice support for Marco Rubio. I see on TikTok all the time, like, comments under all of the clips of him answering questions on Air Force One and stuff. People are like, oh, this is the front runner for 2028. He's the best out of the GOP. Like, there's
He's a
some
refined
secret
politician.
glaze.
He's an actual refined politician, right?
got
He's a
skin
good
in the
politician.
game, bro.
which is
JD
not-
Vance had what, 2 years in the Senate? Marco Rubio has been doing this for a minute.
That's
He's
it.
ran for president before. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I hate him. I don't
Against
like
Trump.
him, but don't
We're
don't
still
sleep.
fans, though. Don't get it
There's
twisted,
one-
guys. We're not fans. We don't like Marco Rubio, but what I am saying is that he's
Marco
a better
Rubio.
speaker and orator than everyone
Than JD
else.
Vance.
In the cabinet. Yeah.
There's a
think
really
so.
good speech that did not age well from 10 years ago when he was running against Trump, and he predicts everything that happened today, giving too much power and giving the guy the nomination to somebody who had no experience, who was going to lead with his ego. He called out exactly how the Trump administration was going to go, and now look at him bend over and be a good boy.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
pretty
best
much.
score,
I mean,
the best score.
I'm almost certain that Miriam Adelson was the one that asked for Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State. I'm almost certain that she asked Trump to appoint him as that.
Where ships have to pay Iran to use an international waterway, and now they got to do something.
Oh, he's also the only one that got that went through a Senate confirmation like smooth, no problems whatsoever. By the way, unlike Kash Patel, unlike Robert RFK Jr., Kristi Noem, who else got beat up a little bit? Pam Bondi got beat up a bit. Pete Hegseth got killed. Like they went after him pretty hard.
I remember I liked him. I don't remember if you remember the Republican primary back in 2016. I remember liking Rubio before he started losing, but he was the closest front runner, I think. After Jeb dropped out, after Ted got called Lion Ted and his wife was fat, Rubio was the closest one because he was able to conduct himself in the right way.
I'm telling you, I'm not saying
that.
he's smart. Don't misconstrue that for credit or me, or not credit, but me endorsing him. No, I hate him. I think he's just another product of the shit GOP administration. But I am saying like he's polished, and you got.
You're right. Maybe I'm just getting distracted. He reminds me of like every Cuban DJ, and his Botox is creeping me out. He looks like Laura Luma, but right now on my screen.
Yeah, his face does look oddly tight. That nigga looks weird. I'm not gonna lie.
It's pulled back. It's just freakish. It's really unsettling.
Dude, I never saw that until you mentioned it, man. Damn.
They should vote for our resolution at the UN.
Does China agree with the United States that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon?
And what they've said is that Iran is signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and so therefore they should not have a nuclear weapon. And they reiterated that point again today. Maybe not as forcefully as I'm making it, but they've certainly reiterated that in the past. Today it wouldn't the first time.
So the U.S.
Yeah, and that is why they have the right to enrich uranium, my friend, according to international law. And that's why they're never going to concede on that. We keep trying to say you guys can't enrich, but like, bro, because Israel's position is they can't enrich at all, because they look at it like, hey, if they have a civilian nuclear program, that could easily turn into a weapons nuclear program.
China came to common ground with the fact that they both don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah,
on
but let me be clear on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a country on the planet. I don't know about North Korea, but I don't know if there's a country on the planet that is in favor of this regime and Iran having nuclear weapons. I don't know of any. I think the difference is we actually are trying to do something about it. Other countries are against it, but they're not willing to do anything about it. So I think the Chinese simply reiterated what has been their position in the past, which is that they don't want to see them have a nuclear weapon. The Russians would say the same thing.
Right.
Certainly all of their Gulf neighbors would say the same thing.
That's diplomatic lip service again. That's always everyone's position is like.
If I want to be diplomatic with you, I can just say, yeah, we don't want nuclear weapons, but the way we act is defending the country that is trying to build a nuclear weapon. They're just saying shit. They're just trying to say shit that you love to hear. They're just being diplomatic. That's it. They don't care.
Like, okay, we don't need more nuclear weapons. Like, that's what it is. But the reality is that let's deal with what's actually going on. Both Israel and the United States are nuclear armed powers, so it's like, and they're both attacking them. So
they reserve every right to say they want a nuclear weapon now.
Yeah,
you have to. It's not pro-Iranian rhetoric. It's not, oh, we're IRGC. You always have to put yourself in the opposition shoes. The United States and Israel just bombed the shit out of you for 40 days. They're playing games during ceasefire talks and bombing your coastline as a result. Bandar Abbas, Keshem Island, all these other provinces that were hit. And now they're saying Trump is not only threatening to end the civilization, he's threatening to send them back to the Stone Age. And just today, he said he's going to start the war back up. I mean, he may as well have just said it. He implied it. I mean, if you're Iran, like, what are you going to do with your uranium? Just look at it and go, oh, I wonder if I can bring this to 90%.
And the big difference is Israel has an illegal nuclear program, and they're trying to tell you that you can't have one.
And it's hey, wait, it's unacknowledged. And Democrats just proposed a letter to the Trump administration to acknowledge it. And so that's another sign that
Democrats.
Exactly. In 2020, in November, seats are going to flip. The Democrats are weaponizing all the talking points the America First people are starving for. And they're going to take that to the bank.
Nico, did I not tell you that when Zoran won, that is going to be the new Democrat political strategy is anti-Israel rhetoric?
Gavin Newsom, he's like playing the fence about it. He was grifting it a little bit, then went away, but 100%. Yeah, you're right to call that out. But what's the pushback? So when they keep hammering home those talking points, they can't have a nuke, they can't have a nuke. Why don't they ever look at America and be like, okay, well, America nuked Hiroshima, Nagasaki, destroyed our ally. Japan's not our ally. We made a lot of mistakes, so many wars. Look at Iraq, look at Vietnam. Isn't it really easy to refute that point and be like, okay, so why should America have nukes if we are the ones that made mistakes with them? Unless we claim that Hiroshima, Nagasaki was necessary, why is it that Iran specifically can't have nukes? Does anybody ever question that, or is it just they say that?
It's a good question. I mean, look, for me, I wouldn't want Iran to get a nuke because, first of all, it's better if a country doesn't have it. But really, every country in the region will start an arms race. And so, like, Saudi Arabia will try and get a nuke. And then every other country, Qatar will try to get a nuke. And Saudi Arabia is flirted with the idea. And Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, had said several times in previous interviews, if Iran obtains a nuke, all bets are off. We're next to get a nuke. So it's not even that like Iran having a nuke is the biggest deal in the world in and of itself. That's also a problem because of, you know, the GOP's talking points, which is the fact that they're Shia clerics, they're jihadi terrorists, whatever. The real issue is that every country in the Middle East is going to be very thirsty for a nuke because that's going to be the only further guarantee or subsequent guarantee of their sovereignty, of their security, that whole idea of mutually assured destruction. So that's the problem in why Iran can't get a nuke, and I'm with that.
God, I hate
but if you don't want Iran to get a nuke,
allergies.
don't attack
Jesus
them when
Christ.
they're hedging at 60%. By the way, no country has ever gone past 30% and not made a nuke. And so Iran is right on the cusp, and all you're doing is poking the bear. So,
Yo, Myron, nigga, you got fleas? What's going on, bro?
No, I got f***ing hairs all over my hoodie because of Frank.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
yeah,
He
he
had like
sheds
a lice
sometimes.
infection or something. Okay,
No, he sheds on my hoodie, bro, sometimes. So as it is what it is. I'm brushing off the haters. But yeah, no, when it comes to Iran, bro, and the nuclear program, look, this might be a controversial take, but I do think that it would create a little bit of balance in the region because clearly Israel is a wild aggressor, and they've been a wild aggressor for a very long time, and the only country that can really curb their aggression is Iran. And quite frankly, I don't have a problem with Israel being
checked.
reeled in a bit because their aggression is absolutely ridiculous. And they've been attacking Iran people forget that they've been, escalating and attacking Iran for a very long time, doing all kinds of bullshit, whether they bombed they bombed an embassy, bro. Like people forget that they bombed
That's so
the
dumb.
Iranian embassy in Damascus and killed several generals, right? They did Operation Rising Lion, which led to the 12-day war with Mossad operatives and they assassinated and killed a bunch of people in there.
Bro, they did a bunch of shit they shouldn't have
Restriction
done.
they posed
Yeah,
as
we're like,
United
bro.
States citizens with the passports, and then the whole Jundullah
Bro,
stuff.
like,
they put us
dude,
in the
like,
worst positions, yeah.
They've
done that all.
I would argue the Iranian government is far more measured and methodical and reasonable than the Israeli government. And people might say, Myron, that I don't agree with that. Well, let me tell you why. October 7th, how many people died? 1,200. Let's round that down to, we know it was really 800 that died because 400 were service members, but let's just say 1,000. Let's meet in the middle, right? 1,000. We won't even talk about the Hamburg Directive, all the other bullshit that went down for October 7th. We could talk about the 12-day war. Israel killed roughly the same amount of people, 1,000, right? Okay, so one country, Iran, gets a sneak attack of Pearl Harbor. They do a 12-day war. They negotiate a ceasefire. And they do a symbolic strike on a U.S. base and tell them beforehand that they're going to do it, and they retaliate against Israel harshly, right? Israel does a genocide, launches a war into Lebanon, bombs Syria, bombs Yemen, bombs Iraq, and initiates a 12-day war. Okay, who
Bombs
is more
everyone,
measured
kills
with
every bunch
losing
of shit.
having the same amount of casualties? And like this is what I tell all the neocons. Like, if you want to talk about who's a more rational country, a more rational state actor, I would argue it's Iran 100%. Because if you look at the numbers, how did Israel react after October 7th versus how did Iran react after in June during the 12-day war? Iran's response was far more measured than Israel's.
So what do you think about Dan Bilzerian's campaign? He said straight up, he was asked, what would the first thing you do? What's the first legislation you get passed? He said, just basically, I'm going to declare war on Israel. He said, it's straight up. Do you think that his campaign, do you think
That's
that
not
this
gonna
is,
happen, bro.
do you endorse Dan Bilzerian?
We all know that's not
I
gonna
do.
fucking happen.
Has he done anything here yet? Or I know he's in town, but
Done anything where?
like I know he had like a rally or something like
Florida.
that he was going to do.
Yeah, he started an event, I think. I don't know if he was there. He showed up. I think he showed up.
So
on a
he's
video chat that
living
he's
there now, right? I think it's the Daytona Beach area, which is the one that Fine is under control of.
Yeah, 5th congressional or 6th
Congressional district. I think it's 6.
I know. I endorse it, man. I endorse anybody that will handle this problem that we have where we have like a fifth column running our foreign policy.
Here's the thing that's scary. I think Massey's district is like an average age of 40. I think Randy Fine's even older. So like that's the problem is like people really underestimate the non-woke. I know it's cringe or cliche. Like the non-woke boomer, but not even the boomers, bro. Bro, I spend so much time around people who are not like politically involved or like saturated into like what's going on right now or this corner of the internet and our talking points. A lot of people still like want to vote for Republicans and 26 obviously, but like still vote Republican in 28. They don't care. They want anybody out of the GOP. They're going hard for Vance. Like even people my age, I've had these conversations with people at work and stuff, like people are not privy to this shit. So to win these elections and stuff is a lot more difficult than you would think. Yeah, obviously James Fishback, Zohran Mamdani, the anti-Israel America First talking points are collecting a lot more popularity than they ever have, and they're more acceptable. However, it's still like the minority. I still think a lot of people are stupid. They don't understand power structure. They don't understand how badly our government is hijacked. I think to a degree, a lot of young people go, all right, Israel's got something here and there, but they don't really have like a grasp or a true understanding of it. And I have these conversations with people that I'm friends with at work or like in passing and stuff. And it's always a good, you know, kind of anecdotal for me because I can see what people outside of this like hub that we're in on X and everything and our side of social media think. And it's a lot more contrary than you would think. So like it's really hard to win these races and these local elections. And even James Fishback, it's going to be really hard for him going up against Byron Donalds. He is sponsored by Trump. Like when Trump endorses somebody, they're likely going to win. That's how it works. So, and obviously we see district splitting.
Young people are not as interested in like, you know, elections that aren't the presidential election. Like young people just do not care about midterms. They don't even know
that they can vote for their local rep. They don't even know that. Like people don't know that stuff.
And the people that vote, they always tend towards one group. I mean, look, the shift is very clear. It's why I think you have to conduct yourself the best way and dress properly and speak well. People get upset and they, lack of a better term, they chimp out when I criticize this stuff. But people have the propensity to want to promote the Western world, first world, Western civilization, civilized society. And they're tying that in with Israel. So if they want it pro-Western values, they want to see their country protected. They don't want to see more immigration. They want to see the things go back to the way it was. Israel is doing a far better job at tying their identity to that idea. Israel is becoming synonymous, Zionism is becoming synonymous with Western values. And they pointed everybody else to say it's third world. This is third world. This is communist. This is Marxist. This is part of the immigration. And people get tricked and they see the Israeli flag. And although they're aware of the genocide, they want things to go back to the way they were. And their marketing campaign, their Hezbollah, the strategy is to tie themselves to. That's why Netanyahu is going on podcasts and speaking in English, even though when he speaks in Hebrew, it's totally different rhetoric. Ben Shapiro just made a video about me saying, exposing Sneeko, the anti-American manosphere, trying to make it seem like I'm a third worldist manipulating. This is why Matt Walsh for a year was calling me a communist jihadist, because people are like, Brown, bad, Israel good, Israel white, Netanyahu looks like me. So it's this trickery of color, and it's really easy to push that populist narrative.
It's working. Look, there's been a shift. Like the world
amazing. Many of the
people don't get what I'm saying. Twisted. We'll watch that. It's funny. Don't get what I'm saying. Twisted.
Go ahead.
But the real thing is, like, you're completely right. They've tried to make like this third worldist brown, like synonymous with like terrorism, anti-Western values, when really, like, actually, if you look at the numbers, people from Western Asia, like Arabs, they actually kind of assimilate pretty well. You know, you have your fringe amount that's like whatever extremists and stuff. Half of that is ISIS. Half of that is Al-Qaeda, which are kind of funded or they were propped up by the United States and Israel at one time. Exactly, yeah, the CIA involvement as well with those terrorist groups and Clinton and Obama in 2015, whatever, the whole lore. But like, they want to take all these overlapping interests and disunite people who are against Israel. That's their campaign. That's like their new MO. They know they can't like cancel out the rhetoric like Charlie Kirk had asked Netanyahu to do. So now the new plan, you're completely right, I agree, is to kind of group everybody in with this like proxy connection of terroristic third world values, like we hate America, we hate Christmas and shit. And
exactly.
And it's like,
if you criticize Iran war, they're like, don't you hate America?
Exactly.
Why do you hate America?
That's the move now.
Have you noticed guys like Adam Sosnick, Shapiro, they're really repping American flags more and more. And then suddenly you see at a protest, they'll tie the Israeli flag with the British flag or with the American flag.
Bro,
it's us. It's us versus them.
At the beginning of this war, Patrick Bet-David was going nuclear on people who were against it. And now it's like, okay, so now I'm seeing the situation in Iran, and these guys like Sneeko and Myron, and I talked to Myron, like they try and like group us as if, or group you guys as if you're like this fringe terroristic, like crazy anti-conspiracy group, when really you're just pointing out the things that nobody in the mainstream has the balls to do. But it's very opportunistic for somebody like you or Myron, because if you're not white and you're not Christian, it's like, oh, boom, perfect. group him in with the terrorists. We'll get rid of his talking points easily with a blanket statement over
White
everything
and Christian,
they
by
do,
the
which
way.
is
I'm
terrorism,
white
globalism,
and
he's
Christian,
brown,
so I
goodbye.
don't care
But
about
when
this
really
shit.
your opinions are overlapping with fundamental American interest, America first interest, they want to mute that. They really want to silence it. So it's dangerous for them. You're completely right. That's been the new move. Like Muslims hate dogs. Like the whole shit. Like they're really trying hard. You know what I'm saying?
That's Frank's fault. You know, Frank gave me so much negative PR to this day on my birthday when he pooped on my rug. I still have to deal with that, and now people think I hate dogs.
No, that is triggering. If a dog shit on my rug,
Common Frank L. Wait, you want to see the short? I think this points it out.
Yeah. Please. My bad.
And for those that don't know, that was back in September of 2024 when I had just got Frank. Okay, he was still a puppy. He wasn't potty trained yet, and you know, I was still training him, and he accidentally pooped on his carpet. But now, Frank, bro, is like trained to a whole other level, bro. Bro is smart as hell. So he's
I'm not gonna lie,
you know,
Frank Moggs is a good looking dog. There's some ugly ass dogs out there, bro.
He was only 3 months old when that happened before. So like, you know, obviously he pooped on the thing, but I taught him though. He hasn't done that like since. So
yeah, Sneako's actually shooting Frank right now, so he's playing into the.
No, I would never. I love W Frank.
and
Wait,
for all
you wanna see this
the
video?
alarm police, just so you guys know, Frank is a protection dog as
a guard
well as
dog.
he is a guard dog. He can actually like attack people and shit like that. I trained him to do well. Okay, I trained him for everything, but I had to take him to a police canine to teach him how to like bite on command and shit like that. So
I think that was the last thing the Haram police were gonna go at you for. Was the dog.
No, they did no, because I looked at it. Oh, L dog Haram. Oh, and it's like no, bro. He's
They're trolling, bro. They're not actually Haram policing you about a dog.
so.
ahead,
But I
play
did
the clip.
actually train him though for that. So he can bite people and shit like that. But sorry, you want me to play this clip or did you have something you want to show?
Yeah, I
Sneako?
want to see.
Okay.
Claiming foreign influence on President Trump are themselves acting as agents of foreign influence for propagandists of actual foreign regimes. It's pretty incredible, actually.
Does anyone feel insulted hearing him say this?
It's amazing, man.
Propagandists of foreign regimes. You see that? It's like every accusation is a confession.
Bruh. Bruh. There's no way the Jew that controls America is one saying that, yeah, they are the ones that conspiracy propaganda. Nah, bruh.
Well, that's
How are
why
we hearing?
Bro, it's always them. Why is it always them? It's always them, bro. It's always them.
Good.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, it's just how are we hearing about propaganda for a foreign regime from Ben Shapiro? It's like it's so obvious. It hurts my feelings hearing him say that.
Like his
this
thing
is
is,
good. This
yeah.
is
So
good.
here we go. I can play a little bit of this. But like the thing with Ben Shapiro, right, is like he doesn't realize he got exposed as a main propagandist, right? And that's why Daily Wire's been taking like such an L because people are realizing like, wait, this guy isn't America first at all. This guy's always been Israel first. Him, Mark Levin, etc. And they all had to come out this way because all the press around Israel was so negative that they had to kind of fight. They had to like kind of jump out and expose themselves. But in doing so, they revealed where their real interest lies. So yeah, this is one of his criticisms because you talk about Professor Zhang and this Russian guy. Let's see here.
Across Eurasia, and this becomes the basis of a new financial system. And this is all plausible, and I think this could be very good. The problem is that this would basically bankrupt America.
Okay, so again, the goal here is obvious. China, Russia, with their friends in America, like the Sneakos, and yes, like the Tucker Carlsons, who, by the way, is named by Dugin as an ally. They're linking hands across the aisle with people like Hassan Piker. The left, by the way, has decided that Hassan Piker is the new hero. Ezra Klein, who, again, I'm so disappointed in Ezra as a person, just as a normal, rational human being, for his defense of Hassan Piker. It's crazy. Hassan Piker defends legitimate terrorist groups, like full-scale genocidal terrorist groups. But Ezra Klein
What
found a
the
way.
fuck?
Okay, but let's be honest here. Who's killed more
Wait, isn't he the one that's supposed to defend all the fucking Jews? What the fuck happened?
people, the IDF or Hamas?
Yeah, it's
Who's
uncomparable.
killed more people? Who's killed more people? Hezbollah or the IDF? Like, bro,
we
if
all
you
know
took
it's the IDF,
all
bro.
of the resistance
We all
groups, you
know.
took, Palestine, the Hamas, Hezbollah, the Popular Mobilization Forces out of Iraq,
Okay, let me check one
Houthis.
thing.
The IDF has killed more people than all of them combined.
Okay, the audio is no problem.
Yeah.
So who's the real terrorist organization here?
And they get away with it. Nobody ever calls. It's not mainstream to say that the IDF is a terrorist organization. They say that all the time about Hassan and others that said that they support terrorist groups. It's like, okay, you make that point, but why is the same logic not applied to any Zionists, to any people? Why would you not put IDF in the same category? It's because they're more structured. It's what it really is because they're not Muslim. The propaganda runs that deep, and they're amplifying it so much. I was pointing it out at the beginning of the call. Trump is posting on Truth Social about Christians in Nigeria and how we need to stand up and help the Christians in Nigeria because who's the boogeyman in that situation, which they're trying to promote. Tommy Robinson's entire protest, the only uniting issue was just dunking on Muslims. They had every other flag. They're saying, we're against globalism. And then they had Iran flags, Israeli flags. They had Nigerian speakers, Korean speakers. The Korean guy comes out playing a violin. Wallahi, he puts 2 pieces of bacon on his shoulders to own the Muslims. That is the big own, as if it's kryptonite. Even though can't eat bacon either. Even though Jesus didn't eat pork. It's goofy. They get the 3 French girls to be like, take it off. And they just strip naked of their burqa. This is so, and then look, they have the little kids there, 9 years old. They really want to go see the FA Cup final game. They're going, Allah, Allah, who is Allah? They're just chanting. They don't even know they don't know Jesus said Allah when he was talking about God. They are tricked into, instead of hating immigration, instead of loving their country, to just point the blame at Muslims while supporting the wars that caused the immigration. Why are you waving an Iran flag when immigrants are going to come in? You see people with these big posters up and they say, we support Tommy, he's helping the Iranian refugees. What about anti-immigration? What were you talking? So now you want Iranian refugees? Are you pro-immigration or not? The only uniting issue they have is demonizing Muslims, but I don't think it's not going to be as effective as it once was.
The first step, I always say this, the first step to actually uncovering the issue as to immigration and all the other things that people complain about, the Tommy Robinsons and everything else, is actually disarming this propaganda of Islamic terrorism. Once you unveil or you pull back that layer, it's just Zionism in front of you, really. And that's the whole reason why Islam is used as a shield to kind of protect Zionism and its expansion project. If we can demonize Muslims, then we'll always be given weapons by these countries that favor us so we can weaken these Muslim countries and so that we can ultimately fulfill our larger project of expansion from the Nile really to
I'm gonna get a couple more, guys. Come back in a second. There you go. You had a cup of water. Oh, it's very hot here in Belgium, by the way. It's like 30 something degrees or 29, some shit like that. It's very hot. So keep yourself hydrated, guys. It's very important.
Euphrates. That's the ultimate goal. So for Muslims to be the enemy, for Muslims to be the adversary is quintessential. It's a key ingredient for their ultimate doctrine or their motives. And right now, the propaganda is very strong. They can easily weaponize all these talking points against like Hassan Pike or you or anybody else. It's like bait for them. It's bait on the table. But this also speaks to what I said. We were talking about this the other day on stream about Chud the Builder and everything, but I was saying when Jake Lang had the Quran inside the pig head and then Muslims are like charging him and attacking him in the streets, it's like, no, don't do that. Actually ignore him.
Oh yeah, before I continue, for the people on YouTube that are watching, if you're chatting or anything like that, again, I do not have the possibility to look at both chats at the same time. I can only look at one chat at a time. And of course, the one that the chat that has priority, you guys know it's Kick, since you can do pretty much whatever you want. While YouTube, you cannot really do whatever you want. So if you guys want to talk to me and shit like that, go on Kick. Don't be on YouTube. I stream on YouTube at the same time, but my main, I would say, platform is Kick.
Yeah, like if you ignore him, then they don't have an enemy to fight. If you don't fight back, they don't have a fight. And then once that stops, all that fizzles out, there's no more views, there's no more clickbait, there's no more popular talking points. Iraqi kid punches Jake Lang in the face in Michigan, none of that. Now it's, wait, why is he doing this? And people will be able to peel that back themselves, but it does take a lot of, and I will admit, self-control, because these things are provocative, but if you ignore the antagonism, well then right there, the enemy will fall flat on its face.
Bro, I was reading comments on, I think it was the academics video, and they're like, yeah, nigga, this is why Sneeko get attacked in the street. This is why he get punched in the face. I'm like, do you not see that that's the whole point of you are supposed to ignore this? So because they're calling you low IQ, low impulse control, emotionally vulnerable, and you act out in violence. Yeah, that's why you get punched. Somebody should shoot that nigga. Okay, well done. Well done. The whole point is to ignore them so you don't prove the stereotypes that they think. They are saying.
That's exactly what you need to do. Don't prove the stereotypes right. Just calm, ignore everything. That's all you have to do. That's legit all you have to fucking do. If you prove that they are wrong, they're gonna be the ones with a bad image. Simple as that.
That you're low IQ and that you're incapable of existing within the first world civilization, right? So don't play into their hand and start to get angry when a paid provocateur goes out in public trying to get a reaction. You turn the other way and ignore it. Instead, they're like, now we need to put money on his head. Go get that nigga. I'm like, bro, this is such a minor issue, and your cortisol spiking and all focusing on this one streamer who would not even be famous if you didn't give him attention. If there wasn't any reactions, this guy wouldn't be popular. But they just get but slavery. I'm like, oh my god, look, you want to have this conversation, but there's so much emotion that it's hard to have that conversation.
Exactly what you're saying.
Well, academics fan base is bro. I'll be honest, like, I remember
not all, but it's just like, it almost seems like a lost cause, bro.
Look, you don't have to say it. I will. I went over there one time to explain Middle Eastern foreign policy to these, bro. They're like, yo.
Bro, they're gonna call me a coon now for okay, great.
Talk about the sand for. What's going on over here? Yo, they're bro. Those niggas.
No, they're not. Well, academics did say he's like, I don't give a about Palestine. He's like, I don't give a fuck about Palestine.
Well,
I care about issues.
That's
nigga like yo, like they don't even know Arabic's a language. Sand nigga, what? Oh.
Yo, I'm really not tripping if a non-Arab or a non-Muslim. If you don't care about Palestine, it's fine. Like that's not. Yo, what you're saying is so true. But people will hear you say that, and they'll go, "Oh, you're removing all the blame from Chud. You're making Chud." And it's like, no, we're recognizing Chud was provocative. He was antagonizing them. Shouldn't do that. Not a good idea. You know, it's slop. It's not the best kind of content. Whatever.
I've condemned it so many times, and they don't care. They're like, "Why are you defending Chud? Why are you defending Chud?"
Yeah, they're not defending. But this is like the density of them. We're not defending Chud. We're just saying when you react, you are giving him exactly what he wants. You are giving the antidote to the cause. Like. You're the means to the end. So instead of reacting violently, which is illegal, ignore him on their end an unfortunate right to say whatever the fuck he wants, because he has that ability. He can say whatever he wants. So it's better for them to ignore him. And I said this ad nauseum, and everybody, I won't do what you did, but I said this ad nauseum, and everybody was shitting on me. So it is what it is. But no,
I don't think it's George Floyd. If you analyze George Floyd when it happened, then they would say like, "Why are you supporting white supremacy?" It's like, wait, no. Did this guy have a fentanyl overdose? Like, why was he using a counterfeit pill? Wasn't he a violent offender? Wasn't he breaking and entering? Like, and if you question it at all, people they couldn't even. And this is going to be the same situation where people look back and like, "Oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have crashed out that way."
Yeah. It was because I saw a little bit of your album and priest debate with these guys. Like, bro, look, the reason why, like, people, because look, bro, they try to say some dumb shit like black on black crime isn't real. Like, okay, man, now
it's real. That's
stupid. Like some stupid progressive bullshit, right? And they're like, oh yeah, it's not real because the reality is that you're more than likely going to be killed by your own group of people. Okay, here's the difference. There's only one community that monetizes it, encourages it, puts it in the culture, reinforces it in every way.
It's black people. It's black people. It's actually black people that do it. On all the fucking music, they literally promote that shit. Killing people, say they do this, say they do drugs, say they do this shit, bro. Let's be honest.
Glorify it with gang violence,
let's be honest.
There's only one group of people that does that, bro. I don't see, Chinese around like, oh, I triad. And then some other Chinese, I triad. And they fight and they make rap songs about that shit and create an entire lucrative career. No, bro. There's only one group of people that does that shit. And we know who and it's like they don't want to deal with the elephant in the room that.
Let's be honest.
And, going back to what you were saying with the whole academics thing, like, the problem is that a lot of these Wakanda right? I call them Wakanda, aka.
Oh my gosh.
Like, they don't understand that everyone is tired of the bullshit, bro. Okay? People are tired of walking around, having to worry about getting mugged, having to worry about getting robbed, or having to worry about saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, being called a racist. It's like, bro, get the fuck, man. People say they got black fatigue. Nigga, I got black exhaustion. I've been tired of these a while. So, whatever, man. Fuck it. Like, academics fans are retarded. What they got to say. A lot of these don't even know where Palestine is on a map. I'll never forget, I was in there talking about the war with Iran. Iran? What is that, nigga? Like, dudes are stupid. Dumbest. What are you talking about, a bunch of sand niggas? Bro, I just want to talk about Drake and Iceman. Get the f out of here, you bad Donkey Kong, man. Niggas stupid. I don't even take them seriously. So, anyway.
And I was going to say this really quickly, too.
Die! Yes, it's fucking true. Let's be honest, it's fucking true.
The thing with Ack, is
sucks,
like, yo,
but it's
I'll
true.
be honest with you, I don't care about Palestine. I think it's important to highlight, like, all right, it's fine. He doesn't have a dog in that fight, I guess.
Oh, wait a second, guys. My mother's calling me. Yeah. There you go, I'm back, sorry. I'm back though, I'm back.
Look, I'm Muslim, so Palestine means something to me that's intimate,
It's
right?
a
That's
human
where
issue, though. It's greater than being Muslim.
It is.
It's just wrong. It's a humanity issue.
Wallah, it's a human issue. And if you don't acknowledge the genocide, you're a piece of shit. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't expect like somebody who's black, like some black heritage person or an FBA, Foundational Black American, all the terms, to really be invested in like Middle Eastern foreign policy. It's fine. Care about the issues here and care about your people here. I'm not giving people the benefit of the doubt to be smart enough. But it is.
I mean, that's just being willfully ignorant. It's like, where are our tax dollars going? Our money is being spent on these bombs, killing these kids.
Sneako,
it's like,
the problem is you cannot give people way too much credit, more than what they are due. You expect somebody to be intelligent enough to really discern as to why the United States is struggling to maintain its #1 position in the world, and why our economy is crashing all the time, and why no president can actually take control of office. Like a lot of people, I would love for everybody to understand that. I would love for ACT to understand what's happening in Gaza and everything. But like, you can't give people that much credit. They're only going to care about the cultural things at home a lot more.
Yeah.
And so that's fine.
Yeah.
But even then, when that's the case, ACT is like omitting the real issues with the community.
These are academics fans, nigga. These are.
No, bro. WAC.
Bruh.
Yo, these are academic fans, nigga.
That's my son! Yeah!
The booger!
Not gonna lie, he looks like an idiot.
Was that like $1,000?
What is the prom celebration?
Yeah.
Hey, yo!
They turned prom into a wedding. It's like.
Wait, it's a prom? But why are you celebrating like that for then? It's just a prom, who cares?
Hey, you know what the best part of this shit is? I never hear a male voice. You ain't hear no dads in this shit, nigga. Like, here's some more. Look at, what is this?
Well, it's baby mama culture. There's no more weddings, right? It's like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, they're not married. It's baby mama, baby daddy. So prom is the opportunity to have a wedding.
Bro, this is perfect timing. What I was just trying to say, or the point that I was trying to elucidate, if you're not going to be concerned about that and you're going to address what's going on with blacks here, address the problems and the faults that we have within our own community, like these things, our over prioritization of materialistic things, like all that bullshit. At least have a word on that. If you're going, I don't give a fuck about Palestine, nigga. All right, do you give a fuck the fact that we're not earning nearly as much as any other immigrant class, any other people that have been here as long as we have? Like, that's not good. Like, we should address
No, I saw a streamer say the N-word. That's what I'm focused on.
All trivial shit. All trivial shit. So I'm not asking you to go crazy for Palestine, but it's like, nigga.
By the way, bro, I've seen hundreds of these videos, by the way, of these.
I mean, and not to like, people have chud fatigue in my chat. There was a reason that we got to this point. It was because I was going to ask you about Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley was speaking at that Tommy Rubenstein protest, and you could see the double standard. There's so many repeated examples. They keep talking about Pakistani grooming gangs. It's like, wait, Tommy Robinson, the organizer of this protest, this guy was found on the Epstein files. Epstein called him a cheap whore. So if you want to talk about pedos and politics, why don't you just look at the person organizing this protest? And Nick Shirley, this was super funny because in his speech, he's like, oh, my favorite issue, I saw some woman with a sign that was talking about no open borders. And you look at her sign and she spelled borders wrong. And I remembered he started his whole thing. He got famous because he was making fun of Leering Center, right? The Somali daycares, and they spelled Leering wrong. Look, they don't know how to leer.
Bitch, Discord. Bitch! Fuck you! Fuck you!
What do you mean?
What do you mean, bitch, check Discord? I told you, Discord for some reason turns on like streamer mode, so I cannot hear shit.
C'est pour ça que je t'ai écrit.
You fucking asshole.
Bah, c'est pour ça que je t'ai écrit, hein.
You could have just DM'd me, bro. You could have DM'd me on Instagram, you fucking idiot.
No, it's fine. I like to ask like this, is more direct.
And Instagram it's not direct?
No, this is more direct because it's live.
I mean, again, Instagram, if you send me a message now, is it not? Okay, you know what? You know what?
Live.
You know what? I
Okay,
don't
you
care.
just talked about open borders. She spelled it board like a wooden plank, like water boarding. And the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Doing better now because, well, the heat went down, so I can finally come back on. Bro, I haven't spent time from 15 to now. 15
I mean,
16
I was on the computer, but I wasn't on the computer all the time. I was like, I played a little bit of games, and then I stopped because it was too hot. And then allergies on top of that was even worse. So yeah, I understand. You understand.
See, is right in front of this guy too. I think there's some genuine aspect to him. But did Nick Shirley, who's now with JD Vance, you know, getting promoted by Elon Musk, who's with this cabal,
All
with
Jews,
this
let's be
team,
honest. Dodgers. All of them. All of them.
He's getting promoted while Tyler Oliveira, who's uncovering fraud on a much more major scale in Lakewood, New Jersey, he gets demonetized from Patreon. He gets banned from Israel. Nick Shirley gets rewarded when he demonizes the Muslims. When Tyler Oliveira calls out the scamming from the
God damn it,
he gets punished. Did Nick Shirley, is he partnered up? Does he know what's happening?
Well, when Nick Shirley, I'll tell you this: they told that he put like expose them all when Tyler Oliveira posted something about exposing one of these scam things run by one of these, and they went after him for that. They went after him for saying expose them all. So like they're okay only when Muslims are exposed, not anyone else.
Dude, Nick Shirley has got MAGA money in its pockets. It's obvious. Like he went straight for the Minnesota-Minneapolis thing with the Somalians, which I'll admit that was an issue. There was a lot of corruption there. But it was like the main headline, and he was spearheading it, and it was all of this problem. And the thing with him is he's a part of like that weird MAGA unison base. Like there's all these influencers that the moment like something happens with Trump, they all say the same shit. Like after the White House correspondence shooting, they all said, build a ballroom, like literally within hours of one another. So he's a part of that like whole, like you said, MAGA cabal and stuff.
Well, they get a script. I mean, you saw from Turning Point when they all had to attack Candace Owens, all the MAGA Peter Thiel influencers, they got the same script. They're supposed to say that Candace Owens is a demon, she's evil, and the next day they go on the podcast and you know that graphic with all the news heads saying the exact same thing at the same time. The MAGA people were doing that to a T, and it really is funny because Nick Fuentes gets allegations for being a Fed. And I don't agree with this, and it's like I've known him for years, and there's no real evidence to support that. Besides, you don't like some of the stuff he says.
I made a whole 40-minute video debunking that shit.
He's not a Fed. There's no evidence to support that.
It's just when you disagree with somebody, you call him a Fed. It's like just say you don't.
Well, I'm not saying Nick Shirley is a Fed. I don't think that Nick Shirley is a Fed, but he certainly is partnered up with people that are Feds. He's certainly getting money, and he's getting like the most viewed video on X of all time is that Somali daycare video. That is like
the most viewed now?
I think it's the most viewed. Let me fact check that real quick. But then right after that, he's in the fraud program with JD Vance in the White House. He's there visiting DC. Elon Musk loves him. He's there photographed next to him. He's speaking at Tommy Rubenstein's event. He's speaking at Turning Point next to Erica Kirk twerking with the fireworks. Just like that. The guy's 23 years old. So people say, Nick Fuentes is a Fed. What about this guy here? Who's partnered up with all the people that we know are blatant Zionists covering up for Epstein and pushing this Iran war? Is there any sort of... I think a lot of people aren't questioning it because they don't want to fumble the collab. They see he's genuine and stuff. And I do too, and I'm not accusing him of anything. But, bro, look who he's around. It's like, follow the money. It's the same thing every time. Let me look it up and see if that's the most viewed video next.
Yeah, here's a clip from it right here. This was...
Okay, so this is the first update. Now, the next update. The Unhinged Truth Social Post.
However, all the journalists now are raving about what they can take away from the meeting, what to follow up with. So, you know, we'll see what comes of that. But there's really not much there. Millionaires alongside with him from Apple and Elon Musk and all the others alike. However, you know, the biggest thing here is what was the conversation, or at least what did it look like in regards to the conflict in Iran currently? What did China bring up in regard to Taiwan, obviously with us trying to fund them and everything like that and give them weapons? What did that conversation look like? Obviously, Trump kind of alluded to the fact that they may have spoke about it when he was answering questions as he got back to the United States, but he never really gave the full scoop. And obviously, he's not going to drop all of that kind of information. However, opposed to what you would think, Trump has actually leaked sensitive information quite continuously or consistently in the last like 4 or 5 weeks. If you've been paying attention, there was an instant where Marco Rubio gave him a note and he wasn't supposed to read it, I think. And there were a couple other times where he was speaking about rescuing the fighter pilots after the F-15 jet was shot down out of the sky right outside of Isfahan, I believe, or in Isfahan, I can't remember. And when he was talking about the operation to rescue the pilots, he mentioned something that John Ratcliffe didn't seem like he was happy about, who was the director of the CIA and all this stuff. So, you know, Trump is always leaking sensitive information. However, we haven't gotten too much to work with in regards to the whole China summit, but we'll see. I mean, there's some things here, but I don't want to waste too much time talking about that because there's a lot that's happened since Wednesday. Obviously, as you can see by the title, Russia has hit Ukraine with its hardest attack since the beginning of the war in February of 2022. And that sounds crazy for me to even say we've been at war, or Russia's been at war with Ukraine for a long time now. So we'll get into all that stuff. Ukraine just responded, I believe, today with their own drone strike. I think 4 are dead in Moscow. So unfortunate turn of events. There's a lot of civilian casualties. And that's kind of been the theme with that war, unfortunately. And, you know, we'll get into the NATO expansion and how that war ever started. I don't know how much time we'll have. You know, we'll cover that. We'll also talk about Trump threatening Iran literally today, again, for the millionth time. But I'm starting to see through the grapevine, not that I have a exclusive source, but I'm starting to see through the grapevine, and kind of the idea that everybody's hinting at is that there will probably be a restart to the war this week. I'm not saying bank on that. I'm not saying take that to the bank. There's times where I'll give you guys a prediction and I'm so much more sure about it. I'm not that sure about this one. But again, I do think at this point, it seems like the ceasefire talks have stalemated to the point where it makes no sense to continuously talk over and over again over the next God knows how many weeks. We've already had a ceasefire for about 50 days at this point. The war has lasted, or 40 days. The war has lasted about 70 plus days, almost 80 at this point. And so to me, it seems futile. And that's because what Iran is asking for and what the United States are asking for are two completely different things. Completely opposite, and it doesn't seem like either side is willing to capitulate whatsoever. And expectedly so, no one ever thought that Iran would let the United States seize the uranium, or that the United States would actually give Iran reparations for our war that we started with Israel on February 28th. So it all makes out, it all tracks, it makes sense. But we'll talk about that. I think there may be a strike at some point this week, maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but it seems like the United States has gathered its marbles, kind of recollected itself, maybe prepared its Gulf allies for a second start to the war. As you know, every single time we strike Iran, the Gulf is hit as a retaliation. And so that's probably going to continue to be the case. The U.S. Patriot missile systems, which are the missile interceptor systems we supply to these Gulf nations, were running low at one point, and I know the BBC reported on that as well as NY Times, and we read through that previously, but I think at this point they're likely replenished. During the war, the United States was taking THAAD systems from South Korea and other countries in order to aid or kind of fill the void or the gap that was missing in the Middle East, because we were stretched thin and wide trying to defend 7 or 8 countries that were attacked by Iran simultaneously in that first week leading into March. So we'll get into all of that. We'll see what the speculation may be. We'll see what Al Jazeera and Axios are going to say. Those are the articles I'm going to read with you guys, and then we'll watch some videos on it. We'll talk about the Ukraine thing briefly, and then we will also get into Thomas Massie.
By the way, I did not know this, that actually Russia did a big attack. I did not know that.
Me neither.
But, I mean, it's still... Like, when it comes to that war, we all know that war is a bit... strange. I do have my own theories when it comes to that war. Honestly, I think NATO and America wanted to touch in Asia, and I think they fucked up. And Russia ended up finding out, and that's why there's the war that it is right now. But, you know, that's my theory. But, you know, like when it comes to that war, it's not that I don't care. It's just, I don't have a lot of information to back that shit up. So I cannot really give you guys a bunch of information when it comes to Russia and Ukraine than what is on the fucking TV. Like, because we all know that what's on TV is fucking bullshit. We all know that shit. So I'm not here to give you guys information from TV. Like, it's fucking dog shit. No.
In his election, the primary.
So,
and it seems like he's a little bit behind
Russia
against
and
Ed
Ukraine.
Galrine. This is
really
the largest attempt to unseat somebody, I think, ever. Unseat a representative in Congress. So we'll get into all.
You were not bad to a good.
All of that, of course, you know, Massie and I think it was Fitzpatrick are famously known for opposing the big beautiful bill, and I think he's out of Pennsylvania's 1st congressional, right? I can't remember, but you know, Massie is not against the MAGA movement, but he's an America Firster, and he's a congressman out of Kentucky's 4th congressional district. So he's always been the kind of America First, somewhat vague anti-Israel guy in Congress, and of course he's been paraded as this hero against this MAGA base that has now pretty much sabotaged the GOP and completely turned it against the United States and for Israel. You know, you've got the Epstein scandal, you've got all the issues in regards to the Iranian conflict.
Yeah, by the way, we do have the Epstein scandal, but the thing is, nobody, because of the war, nobody's talking about it. Like, the Epstein files, it's bigger than other people think. Like, people talk about, yeah, there was rape. Sorry, grape. There was grape on the files, which it is true. I'm not denying it, but the files talk about a bunch of shit. They talk about COVID. They talk about the war that's going on right now. They talk about power, the Jewish power, the Zionism power in the West. They talk about everything. Even like it talks about a bunch of shit. It talks about a bunch of shit. The Epstein files is connected to a bunch of stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's true there was a scandal, but because of the war, that scandal is being overshadowed. And not a lot of people are talking about it or like going more deep into it. But they just talk about, yeah, grape. And they're not, the people that did that, they are not getting the consequences. And that's pretty much it. But the Epstein files goes deeper than just that. It's connected to 9/11. It's connected to Zionism. It's connected to the wars going on in Iran. It's connecting to legit a bunch of stuff. COVID. It's connected to a bunch of stuff that came to fruition. So it's unfortunate, but people just don't talk about it enough. Or they just talk about the grape. That's pretty much it. They don't go. Yes, I'm trying not to say the other word that you know of. But yeah, that's the problem. It's just they just excuse me.
I do know of.
Oh, okay.
What?
Well, yeah. So I just don't want to say the other word because it's just a horrible thing to say. I don't mind saying a bunch of stuff when it comes to grape. I just say grape. I don't want to do the other word. But yeah, like people, the only thing that people talk about the Epstein files is the grape, is the fact that a lot of people are not getting punished, which it is true, by the way. There's a lot of people that should be punished, and they are in the files, but they're not getting punished. Like, I understand that part, but the Epstein files go further than just the grape. That's the thing. It goes further, and nobody's talking about it. They just talk about the grape. So it's like, bro, you know that in the Epstein files they talk about 9/11. They talk about the war right now in Iran. They talk about the fucking COVID. They talk about so much fucking problems that came to fruition. It's like, bro, that's a bit weird, the fact that they're in the Epstein files. And not only that, when you know that the Epstein was an how do you say it? A secret. Forgot to say it. Epstein files was a secret informative. Is that how you say it? A secret informative? Is that how you say that? A secret informative? When it's someone that is trying to inform people secretly? Is that how you say it? I forgot how to say it.
I wouldn't know.
Because I forgot. I knew the word, like the words, but the combination of words or what that person is, but I forgot. The other thing I know is he was someone working secretly for Israel, Zionism, in informing them. So the fact that he knew about the information about COVID, about all this shit, just proves that the Israel and Zionism knew about it. So they knew all these catastrophes are going to come to fruition. So when you put 2 and 2 together, it's like they do know about it. They were the only ones they know about it. So probably they are the ones who caused them. But nobody, talks about it. They'll talk about the grape. That's pretty much it. They're just the grape, which is still bad. We should talk about it. But the Epstein files has much more information that people should talk about that they don't talk about it.
Like, you've got the corruption with the insider trading and all the other stuff that's making MAGA fall, and the ship is sinking. It's pretty obvious, and everybody is predicting that around November, maybe seats will flip, and it's going to be a lot harder for MAGA to pass further legislation moving from November into 2028 for the presidential election. Who knows who will come out of the GOP to run? It'd either be Marco Rubio, or JD Vance.
Imagine being able to build anything.
No, I don't imagine. Especially with you bitch asses just annoying people with your shitty ads.
And the ship is flip, and it's going to be a lot harder for MAGA to pass further legislation moving from November into 2028 for the presidential election. Who knows who will come out of the GOP to run? It'd either be Marco Rubio, or JD Vance. I was saying the other day, I think Rubio may have the better chance. That's just what I'm seeing recently out of the news. It seems like he is more favorable. It seems like the donors are leaning his way. I know Vance in the tech lore, so that also could happen. It's all speculation. It's really early, so I don't know. I feel like Rubio may edge ahead, but pause. We'll see. I know I have some. This is Al Jazeera. This is one of the more honest outlets of news to kind of
be
get
anything left. Trump issues threat armies. Bro. How much do you want to continue tarnishing the American name? It's like Trump is not even trying to, like... He's not even trying. He's just tarnishing the American name more and more. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to change my camera shit. I'm gonna change the camera shit immediately. So it's done now, so later it's ready. Sorry guys, I don't like doing this. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't like it at all, but I prefer doing this now so it's done. So later on we don't have to do this. Put it like this.
Iranian war information from, I guess. And I'm looking at all the sources, right? You know, I'm looking at Fars, I'm looking at Iranian news, I'm looking at American news, I'm looking at CNN, Fox, all the good stuff, BBC. But, you know, Al Jazeera seems to have the best grasp of the picture, whether you like it or not, for better or worse. That just seems to be the case. So we'll run with them for this story because this was kind of breaking news today. Obviously, Donald Trump let out a Truth Social post, and he said there pretty much that we're going to resume this war immediately. He says, for Iran, the clock is ticking, and they better get moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence, President Donald J. Trump. And here's the post right here. So, and then, you know, you got the boomer supporters. Finish the job, Mr. President. Like, all right, bro. So, let's read this article. Let's see what we got here. Won't be anything left. Trump issues a threat to Iran amid stalled talks.
That's so
talks. So it says here, the U.S. President Donald Trump has reiterated his threats against Iran as negotiations to end the conflict between the two countries continue to flounder. In a Sunday morning post on his platform Truth Social, Trump warned that time was running short before a fresh wave of U.S. military action might be launched. And then it shows the post here that we just read. Trump wrote in the short two-sentence message, time is of the essence. The post was the latest example of Trump using violent rhetoric against Iran and his administration struggles to achieve its goals in the war. Just a day earlier, Trump had posted an AI-generated image of himself atop a military ship labeled, "It was the calm before the storm." Now, I don't want to interrupt too much here, but like, if you haven't been on Truth Social, which you probably haven't because you're a normal human and not an alien, Trump has been schizo posting.
What the fuck? What is this?
What is this?
He's posting AI photos of him being an idiot. And then like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What am I looking at? I do have a text as well. Let me hear this text. It's very important. So wait a second, guys. Bro. How do you want me to hear you, bro? Rafael, estás um bocadinho atrasado. E isto já sabia disso há muito tempo. Até existe um documento oficial que ele fugiu para a Argentina. Que foi publicado recentemente. There you go. No, I do not. No. Sorry, guys. I had a text. I had to answer, bro. When it comes to text, it could be something important, so I have to answer as fast as I can and respond correctly.
Like these sloppy
You have to-
cringe AI photos, and
They're so bad,
I get
bro.
it. He's like 80,
No, it's fine now.
but it's like, what are you doing?
It's so bad,
Space
bro. What
Force.
is he doing?
Like, what are you?
Building.
Like he's manning this control ship, the American flag, explosions in the
efficient,
background.
because it doesn't
It's
need a
just
lot of,
so boomer-esque. Like it's
This is so dumb.
perfect.
Space.
Like it's literally. This is
Trump is retarded. This
the
man was-
embodiment of what I'm
That's so dumb.
constantly trying to steer you guys away from every single day when we unfortunately are attacking the president. And when I say attacking, I mean just going against his stance, going against his policy, which has been pretty much shit since the beginning of the administration. Really, there's been some goods, there's been some bads, but the bads have certainly
bads,
outweighed the goods.
yeah.
And the goods of the GOP currently since 2024 and when it started were kind of bare minimum things like, oh, we have a closed border now. I hear all these Republicans, these bleeding heart Republicans saying we have a closed border now. It's like the border should have never been opened. Like, why is
True.
the bar so low? So
True.
I always hear these like funny talking points like, oh, kids can't mutilate themselves anymore. It's like, yeah, that's good, but like any Republican's gonna get you that. Almost any
True.
Republican is going to get you that. So why are you giving Trump
okay.
credit for something he was already supposed to do? Like, that's a baseline requirement or expectation of any political candidate from the right. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah, Space Force. There's more. It gets crazy.
What
He's mocking
dumb and double the Illinois government.
the
What
Illinois
the
government
fuck?
here. It just gets crazy though. Let me see. There's like a spree of AI slop. Look at what they do, what we do.
Okay.
Hakeem
What the-
Loeb, Jeffries in his.
What the fuck are these shitty ass fucking? Is he trying to like? He's creating like these shitty memes with AI. What the fuck is this talk shit?
District.
Think
Like
about
it.
it one
Okay,
more
some of this
time,
actually.
good idea.
Yo, okay, this is kind of funny. This is in response to the whole issue in the
Should be
South with
enough.
the redistricting
2,000
of zones
left,
and
2,000 right.
the voting rights of
storage
minorities.
zone.
If you haven't been seeing that other than the news, and I gotta cover that at
Everything's
some
gonna
point.
happen in the middle,
And it
and
says
the
here
other
democracy. It's showing Obama,
shits is
and this is him
on
walking
the
with an
sides.
alien. Like,
What the fuck?
I don't get this. Wait, what's the? I don't. Was this because of the UFO thing that was declassified? Like, this is just straight boomer vibes.
This is so dumb.
You know, this
What the
guy is
hell?
running the country. You know, here's Gavin Newsom in like a mental room, one of those
Bro.
soft pod rooms, whatever you call them, and he put him in like the schizo fit. So it's just like slop. Venezuela, 51st state. Like, bro, like I could do this all day. You know, buy fast boats. He's making fun of Iran. By the way, those same fast boats drove Navy destroyers out of the strait.
That's so embarrassing.
You know, we entered the strait for this escort mission of letting these oil vessels pass out safely without the threat of the Iranian military imposing
it
itself
didn't
upon
even
these
work.
vessels, which
It
had
didn't
been the
even
threat
work.
since the beginning of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
It didn't
Trump
even
launches
work, bro.
Operation Freedom, and we got ran out of the strait. We also didn't have the firepower or manpower that we needed for the operation because Kuwait and Saudi Arabia did not give us their airspace or air bases to utilize during the conflict. And then after they said, oh, now it's open. Well, now it doesn't matter. We needed it 2-3 days ago. We don't need it now. So, you know, that was funny. And that's a part of our prediction, right? In regards to our severed ties in the Middle East, we're not going to have the same autonomy that we once were. These buffer states are going to start to realize they're buffer states. And I'm referring to the Gulf as a whole. Empty oil tankers are sailing to the U.S. to load up on oil. 159 boats, Iranian boats. Obama, Biden, Trump. It's like slop. It's like who's like?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. I have to another text. Não, os homens sempre tiveram. Fuck. Asshole. Não, eles sempre tiveram grande influência lá em Argentina. Era muito óbvio que ele tivesse ido para a Argentina. Era muito óbvio. Houve sempre essa grande influência. Shut the fuck up, you stupid nigga! I'm trying to send a message, you asshole! I'm trying to. You fucking idiot! I'm trying to send a message and it's like, fam, what are you doing? Não, eu sabia que ele estava na Argentina, era muito óbvio. Ele tinha um grande poder e grande influência na Argentina, era muito óbvio que ele tinha ido fugir para lá. Eu não acredito que tinha ido para o Brasil. Digo isso porque, como não tem grande influência no Brasil, não queria ter ficado lá. Mas para a Argentina, isso é de certeza. Sorry guys, we're talking. It's my cousin. We're talking about important shit. Important shit. Yeah, as I'm streaming.
Liking this. Who are the 9,000 people liking this?
What is this? Bro, what the fuck is this? Is what you post on your fucking Truth Social? What is this? Who cares? Like, he's making like these AI shitty ass memes. They're so bad.
Who?
Trump.
I'm not trying to
Like, what the fuck?
shit on-
Look at the stream, bro. What the fuck is this? He's posting like AI photos like this. They're so dog shit. Like, what the heck is this dog shit?
on Trump. I really don't. I'm not, but it's just like what is it? Like, he's so
Like,
old.
what is this? What the fuck?
Like, who gave him AI? Please take it away. Democrats love sewage.
Okay, not gonna lie, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
California new scum. Like, somebody take his phone away. Don't worry, we'll react to this third-rate Congressman Thomas Massey post as well. I have that ready. But
A bunch of AI memes.
yeah, it's just
bad.
slop.
They're just
Anyways,
bad.
all right, let's get back to the article. So that's Trump's Truth Social. Where were we? The conflict began on February 28th when Israel and the United States jointly attacked Iran. Since then, Trump has put forward a range of objectives for the resulting war, including dismantling Iran's missile arsenal, severing its relations with regional allies, and
I have a well.
What? What?
Does a well
What?
get water?
It depends. If it did water, then yeah. But if it's dried out, you cannot get water.
Well, probably in this game you cannot dry. You know.
I mean, if they coded to the point where it's dry forever, like you don't get water. Simple as that.
Sorry, I forgot to say I have the sea right next to me.
So you ask me about a fucking well, and you have water right next to you, and you're like, ah, no, the fucking the well, yeah, the well.
Yeah,
There's a sea right there. The sea is right there, but yeah, the well.
Yeah, no, the well is important.
You know,
cannot
it's,
use
hey,
seawater.
hey, I cannot argue against you. That is true. The well is important.
ending its nuclear enrichment
that's why I
program.
made four of
On
them.
April 7th, Trump coupled those demands with a social media post suggesting wholesale destruction in Iran.
Because there is only
Critics have
30%
likened the post to a
efficiency in water gathering or whatever the fuck. So if I make 4, it's 120% efficiency. But in 30%.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
call for genocide.
I hope it's gonna
Quote,
work
a
because
whole
I'm trying to
civilization
do,
will die tonight, never to be
alcohol,
brought back again, end quote. Or no,
grog,
he keeps going actually.
sake,
I don't want that to
rum,
happen, but it probably will.
Also hashish.
Within hours of the post, the United States and Iran agreed to a ceasefire that had
Making
been in place
everything
ever
that is
since,
illegal.
though both sides have accused each other of violations. The United States
grog,
president
rum,
had
sake
previously
aren't
threatened to
illegal,
attack
but
the country's
hashish
civil.
is in my game.
Are you finished? With you shitty wells? Like, I'm trying to hear and remember, I only have 1 year. My other side of the headset is not broken, but for some reason I cannot hear. And I have like 2 people talking at the same time. I cannot, like, bro.
Infrastructure, including its power plants and bridges, which legal experts warned could amount to a violation of the Geneva Convention. Separately, in a May interview with Fox News, Trump said Iranian officials will be blown off the face of the earth if they attack U.S. vessels. Iran has denounced such rhetoric and rejected Trump's demands as excessive. Mehr, a news agency sponsored by the Iranian government, issued a statement on Sunday saying that the United States had offered no tangible concessions in its latest proposals. It also accuses the United States of seeking to obtain concessions that it failed to obtain during the war, a strategy that, quote, will lead to an impasse in the negotiations, end quote. Separately, a spokesperson for Iran's armed forces, Abulfazl Shakarchi, was quoted as warning the United States against the further threats. Repeating any folly to compensate for America's disgrace in the third imposed war against Iran will result in nothing but receiving more crushing and severe blows, he told Mehr news agency. Reporting from Tehran, Al Jazeera correspondent Al-Migdad Al-Rohaid, these names are not...
Could you talk in your head?
No.
I don't want to hear about your shitty ass cactus.
I can make a sandwich cactus. Sounds okay.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm talking about what's going on in Iran, the war in real life. I don't care about your shitty game.
I gotta say, it's the most nutritious shit.
Congrats.
said that the Iranian government has indicated that violent rhetoric from the United States will not be tolerated. From what we understand, this kind of language is not acceptable here in Tehran. They are projecting defiance rather than giving an immediate response to this kind of rhetoric, Al-Ruhayd said. He added that increasingly hostile remarks from both sides signal that the ceasefire could be at imminent risk of shattering, and that's what we were speaking about just a moment ago. Behind all of this rhetoric, there is awareness that diplomatic window right now is narrowing. We do not know, or we do know that there is hard language, hard messaging from both sides, that the finger's on the trigger on both sides. But Adam Clements, a foreign policy analyst, told Al Jazeera there could be a domestic element to Trump's hardline rhetoric, including his latest flurry of messages. Of course, Iran would have to take it seriously, which they won't. At the same time, as well, President Trump is known for his bombastic tweets, his bombastic statements, perhaps for domestic audiences. Clements added that it will be critical to watch whether Trump's statements are echoed by his officials in the coming days and whether they are also matched by increased military activity. The White House press office has been known to post these types of strange memes or AI-generated memes and cartoons in the past, he explained, as we just went through. So, you know, that's the whole thing. We got another article here out of Axios. There's a couple more details. Maybe I should have read this to start because it's a lot more simple and straightforward, not quoting all of these officials and stuff, but it quickly reads, and I'll go through this very briefly. U.S. officials say Trump wants a deal to end the war, but Iran's rejection of many of his demands and refusal to make meaningful concessions on its nuclear program has put the military option back on the table. So, behind the scenes, Trump met Saturday with members of his national security team at his Virginia Golf Club to discuss Iran, a source with knowledge said. Attendees included Vice President J.D. Vance, White House Envoy Stephen Witkoff, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Pakistan's Interior Minister visited Tehran on Saturday and Sunday for talks with senior Iranian officials or leaders about the deal for ending the war. Pakistan is the official mediator between the United States and Iran. Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, who is also mediating, spoke Sunday with his Pakistani counterpart and with the Iranian foreign minister. Trump told Axios he still thinks Iran wants a deal. Yeah, no, they don't. And he said he is waiting for an updated Iranian proposal, one he said he hopes will be better than the last offer given several days ago.
Bro, they keep giving you the same fucking type of deal. You guys keep fucking saying no. Do you really think they're gonna continue and give you the same shit? Like, of course they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna trying to negotiate. They negotiate with all of you a bunch of times, and they give you guys the same points, and you guys keep saying no. So, you really think they're gonna change their position? Probably not.
Trump declined to give a specific deadline for the negotiations with Iran, obviously.
Hi there. Would you like to receive a gift? I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ.
So,
Congrats.
You know, here's the thing. I'll just show you guys the demands from both sides, and then you'll quickly see why this war is going to restart. But formally, I want to make sure I go through the news with you. So here we have the points from both sides. This is from Rerun, but he got it from Fars News Agency, and this has been confirmed by several verified outlets at this point. So, U.S. versus Iranian demands as per Fars News. U.S. demands consist as these, or they're listed this way. No compensation for war damages. Transfer of Iran's 400 kilograms of uranium to the United States. Iran to maintain just a single nuclear facility in the entire country, likely above ground, by the way. No release of Iran's frozen assets. Ceasefire conditional on the success of U.S.-Iran talks. A permanent ceasefire is not guaranteed. Now, on the contrary, these are Iran's demands. Ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon. That's tough. You got Israel there to agitate that at any point if they decide so. Lifting of all sanctions on Iran. That's tough because then they'll fund the proxies, and Netanyahu will complain like he did in 2015 and 16. Release of all frozen assets tied to the Iranian state. That's tough because then you can't go at Obama for giving them their money back. War damages compensation. That's expensive. Recognition of Iran's sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. That's also very expensive for the U.S. economy. That can't happen. That will make Iran a fourth world power, coupled with the fact that they will have a nuclear weapon at some point in the future because hedging was not enough. Now they're actually going to have to get a bomb. You know, so all of these things are predictable outcomes of the war thus far. You know, and to me, this kind of speaks to a larger point. we can probably see an attack in the next few days. I suppose, you know, maybe there will be concession on some of these points, but neither side is willing to really work with the other or capitulate. And this has been the story. We've told this story several times before, and maybe we have new viewership, so, you know, I'm not going to get into it too much, but I want to make sure I graze over the whole idea of it. This is maximalist demands from the United States. The more ridiculous thing that sticks out to me, a transfer of 400 kilograms of enriched uranium to the United States is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Whether it's enriched or not, I'm not sure. The details are not listed here. And that's how it is with these plans and these demands from both sides. It's always kind of vague as to what the specific stipulations are under each point that we just read. But it's safe to say Iran is never going to capitulate or agree with that. And this is the whole thing. We don't have to worry about that. The real concern now, and I think this makes more sense, especially for U.S. interests and all of you at the gas pump who have likely been suffering, as well as groceries and any other goods that you're purchasing, is the Strait of Hormuz. That vital choke point responsible for a fifth of the world's oil. Now that it's blockaded, it has put immense pressure, not only on the U.S. economy, but really more so Europe and Asia. Europe with the LNG and oil as well. And
I say pretty much the whole world because in general, we're in a crisis. Most countries, most continents in the world are in a bit of crisis. That's why I say mostly the whole world.
Asia for the oil, India, and several of these other countries, Indo-Pacific. So, you know, they are going to enter, and they've already kind of started the beginning stages or the phases really of an energy shortage, and as a result they're going to have to pay the Iranians lots of money to get these vessels through. And Iran is allegedly charging about $2 million per ship. Who knows how true that is? Who knows what ships they're charging? Of course, it's likely that they pick and choose Chinese vessels versus non-Chinese vessels, and they have these designated shipping lanes for that purpose as well. And so they have complete control over the strait, something that they did not have prior. The United States has to wiggle that out of Iran. That's going to prove to be difficult. However, I don't think it's impossible, but we cannot ask for Strait of Hormuz, and then we also cannot ask for the nuclear side simultaneously. I feel like we kind of have to pick one. And the reason why is because both of these
you're in a shit position, because after what you guys done, you're in a very shit position. So yeah, it's very tough for trying to have both. I do agree with him. I think I think he's gonna have to pick which one. I don't think he can go to those the nuclear and the strait. It's a bit tough. It's very tough for America to demand those type of things when it comes to the deal. You're gonna have to choose. I do agree.
Iran and what they possess are vital for their existential future, really. Right now, Iran is fighting for their existence. And I get it, you know, there's this issue of nuclear proliferation if this war continues on, and if Iran gets a nuke, then every other country in the region may try and race to a nuke. I understand that element, but you know, really, I think the biggest concern is the Strait of Hormuz. And if we want to move forward with more of a permanent ceasefire, or, you know, who knows, it's far-fetched at this point, but a complete peace deal, well, then at that point, you know, it'd make sense to at least start with the Strait of Hormuz. We have something to work with, and then from there, hopefully, we can get Iran to concede on the nuclear topic. However, it's just really not likely. You know, now me and my brother, we went through like our dream plan if we were to fly over to Tehran and have a deal with Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, and all these other guys. And I think the most sensible thing is to allow them to have this enriched uranium, just don't enrich it anymore. Make a deal where they have to pause the 60%. They've got to freeze there. And previously, before the whole situation that we saw in the Strait of Hormuz about 2 weeks ago now at this point, Iran had proposed a 14-point plan to the United States, and Donald Trump responded on Truth Social and said, this is unacceptable. And in that 14-point proposal was a nuclear stage, and in that nuclear stage was them agreeing that they themselves would pause their enriched uranium at 60% for a long period of time. I saw some reports saying 10 years, 15 years, and the only thing that would bypass them or allow them to enrich further would be a violation of the peace deal or ceasefire. But again, that's really difficult and a narrow line to tread because, of course, Israel always or possesses the ability to attack Lebanon or southern Lebanon, and as a result, attack an Iranian proxy, and then Iran may be charged up and let go of the ceasefire. And that's the real problem there. And tensions have flared in southern Lebanon ever since the war had started, and we saw in the beginning of the ceasefire on April 7th or 8th, literally the first day of the ceasefire, Israel launched like 100+ strikes on southern Lebanon and Beirut as well.
That's a
and
lot.
killed several people as a result. They said the ultimate goal, like they
I'm
always
gonna
say.
get more water, guys. I'll come back in a second. I don't have. You know what? I should pick up just a whole bottle. I have here, but since it's hot, I keep them in the fridge so the water is cold. But I'll come back in a second for some water. You're going back with a cup of water, and I got a little bag of chips. Some good protein, some good chips. So, some good chips for your health. Actually, they're pretty good. Very good chips.
To target high-ranking Hezbollah officials, in which, in certain instances, I guess, in this back-and-forth bombing campaign, or really the bombing campaign on southern Lebanon, they have killed notable Hezbollah officials, but nothing that's really going to move the needle long-term. And we know this because all of these proxies have what is now effectively this kind of like mosaic defense. And so really the need for ultimate leadership is helpful, but it's void of being really that critical or necessary for the existence of the Iranian government or the group as a whole. We know that because a testament was on February 28th. We killed the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, or Khamenei, however you want to pronounce his name. And after he was killed in the US-Israeli joint strikes, his son succeeded him, and his son is far more extreme than him. And the funniest thing now is Marco Rubio and Donald Trump have been parading the fact that they killed Iranian leadership, and now a more viable, sensible leadership has taken the place of previous leadership. That's not the case whatsoever. Actually, there have been several spokespeople in the Middle East who have always stated we cannot let the supreme leader's son succeed him in power because he is far more extreme than him. He is now the leader. And so we are doing all of this work in the Strait of Hormuz and asking for all of these demands. Whole time, we're not even dealing with the original leader. We're not dealing with Ali Khamenei. We're dealing with his son, Mujtaba Khamenei, which is far more extreme. So when the United States tells Pakistan to tell Tehran that they have to give up the uranium, what do you think this guy who has a dead father for the last 3 months is going to respond to that with? He's going to say, absolutely not, go F yourself. And matter of fact, we're going to control the strait, you're going to give us reparations, and you're going to lift sanctions. So if you want to end this conflict, we're going to make sure the only political off-ramp available to the Trump administration is an embarrassing one. And that's kind of effectively what they're forcing us to do. And so, you know, any sensible person would realize that a kinetic war is back on the table. Strikes will have to happen. We're going to have to damage Iranian infrastructure far more than we previously have in order to get them to capitulate to some degree. How far are we going to go? I don't know. Maybe Trump will hit bridges. Maybe Trump will hit the energy plants like he threatened to do in the beginning of the war. We know that would be catastrophic for the Middle East. We know that Iran, in response to those strikes on their energy plants and their energy infrastructure, would likely hit Gulf countries and hit their energy infrastructure, or better yet, hit their desalination plants, which is what they explicitly threatened to do. And they loosely already did that when they hit Kuwait. They hit a desalination plant in Kuwait and partially took it out of operation for allegedly a few months. And so these desalination plants, by the way, are responsible for converting the ocean water into fresh drinking water. As you know, these Arab countries, all of these Gulf countries are desert really biome. And so the only viable thing that they can salvage is these desalination plants. Agriculture is not the biggest thing there, as I'm guessing you would all know. So, you know, it's just completely unrealistic that any of these demands will be met with some sort of obedience. Again, Iran has been charged up, you know, they're a charged battery ready to fight back. And by the way, we spoke about this the other day as well. New York Times had reported that Iran's stockpile of missiles is back up to like 75%, 80% according to US intelligence. And then Iran themselves said it's 120. And I mean, who would you believe? I don't want to believe Iran because I'm pro-Iran. I want to believe Iran because they have no reason to lie. And we've given them 50 or 40 days now to replenish whatever they lost in the war against the United States and Israel and all of these other Gulf nations as well. And so all of the rubble that was covering the entrances to these underground missiles that were responsible for missile production have now been uncovered by Iran. They've been spending this time in the ceasefire, likely excavating all of this rubble, all of this destruction, getting back in, getting these missiles ready, getting their mobile launchers ready, and they're fresh and they're ready to go against the coastline or across the coastline. And now it's like Donald Trump has two options. These are the realistic two options that at least I see right now. It's either you capitulate and you agree to allow Iran or the Strait of Hormuz to turn into really the Strait of Iran. You agree to that, or you fight back and you weaken them until they can actually concede to some of your demands, especially regarding the nuclear. However, the consequence of starting the war back up and saving yourself from embarrassment, which any smart person knows he's not saving from embarrassment at this well, but for the American base, really, the consequence of starting the war back up and posturing like you're strong is, well, the Gulf is going to get destroyed. So it's tough, and this is what I have been saying ad nauseum for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and really the entirety of the conflict. Donald Trump has trapped himself. Before this conflict started on February 28th, there was potentiality that some of these U.S. demands could have been met with some sort of, at least maybe semblance of submission. I suppose maybe some transfer of uranium could have been possible. Some talks of the nuclear situation. They've been willing to do it before. I'm sure they would want to do it again. And maybe a release of sanctions or something. But now we've added the Strait of Hormuz element, as Iran has now utilized it for its own defense. And that's something they're not going to let go, you know. And if the war continues, prices of goods will continue to go up. And that's another challenge.
Oil prices, here we go. It's time to check. How far are we? Oh, it went down to 90. So this was a week ago. Is it a week ago? No, 10. Yeah, pretty much 10 a week ago. Yeah, it's 10 days ago. And it went back down to 90. Which is still bad. It's probably going to go up again. It's probably going to go up again. If I had to predict how it's going to go. Because you see, look at the graphic, guys. Look at the graphic. You see the graphic? It just keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. That's pretty much what's going to happen. It's probably like it went like down to 90, but it's going to go back up to like 100 again. It's, by the way, it's good that it went down, but $90 a barrel is still very bad. Like very, very bad. It's better than 100 and 112, 120, but it's still bad. It's just not chaotic. Chaotic is 100, 112, 120.
That Donald Trump has been facing these last 70 days. The US base has been constantly complaining about gas being through the roof and groceries are going up, and gas is at an average of almost $5 nationwide. In California, I think it's north of 6, almost 7. So, you know, you have all of these issues, and in between it is, unfortunately, a narcissistic, arrogant old man who seems to be in cognitive decline, who cannot make the better decision for the betterment of his people, for his country people. And it's so sad because the 180 is insane. We had the America First ideology in 2016, and now it's a full-blown war for Israel, as we all know. And what's Israel doing? Well, they're just sitting ducks waiting for the United States to strike. Yeah. And every time Donald Trump is maybe reluctant to hit the big button and start strikes again or whatever, you can bet that Benjamin Netanyahu is feeding him all the talking points and intelligence to make him confident that this will work a second time. And I mean, somebody may say, oh, he won't fall for it again. He saw it was a failure. You know, the last like 5 presidents refused to strike Iran. And Trump was the guy to do it because Netanyahu is obviously, and also Israeli intelligence, all of them as a whole, are phenomenal salespeople. I think it's pretty easy to restart the war. You tell Donald Trump, look, there's no way out of this war. I won't do the impression. It's too much gesture right now. We're too serious right now. He's probably telling Donald Trump, if you don't restart the war, Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz. They are cocky now. And you have the issue that they could be racing towards a bomb. That's an element that no one's talking about. And I think that's more important. I think it's understated than anything. More than the Strait of Hormuz, Iran could be, as we're speaking now, trying to race and enrich uranium at a weapons grade level, which would be around 90%. And then make this dirty bomb that the whole MAGA administration has been raving about for God knows however long, really since 2016. And if that's the case, well, then we're cooked. Because now we can't just attack or threaten to hit the energy grid of a nuclear capable country. That's not, that's off the table. If Iran gets a nuke, we hit their energy structure. What do you think they'll do with said nuke? You know, this is an existential threat they're facing in the United States and Israel. This is for their existence. So it's a country of about 90 million people. You hit the energy grids, you got problems, and you got problems fast.
Fast, yeah, very fast.
Love Roblox? Earn Roblox
No, we don't, because
cards with
it's a gay
Microsoft
game,
Rewards.
bro. We all know that. It's fucking gay.
So maybe in the
Dog shit
restart of the
game,
war,
bro.
which seems imminent at this point, and I hope it's not, but it seems imminent.
Let's be
I'm
honest,
saying
it's
this
fucking
week, it
dog
could be
shit.
next week. I don't know, unless the United States
It's for
capitulates,
retards.
which that's a dream scenario. You know, in this restart of the war, is there a ground element? Are we gonna try something?
You know,
different?
I'll be even more fucking. I'll be even more realistic. It's for brokies. Let's be honest. It's for fucking brokies.
Are we gonna hit bridges? And I think that's more likely. Maybe we'll start with bridges, and we'll see if we have to go far enough to really hit energy infrastructure. Bridges are extreme as well. Can't transport any goods. People can't get from A to B. You know the whole deal. But I suppose that would be the first step before actually hitting energy grids. Maybe that would be a little bit more sensible. That would be a little bit moral, I suppose. But I mean, the whole crux of this war has been immoral because it served the purpose of Israel. And Iran
100%,
never
100%.
posed a threat to the United States in the last God knows how many years, decade, really.
If they really wanted to pose a threat to United States, they could have done it, but they didn't do it. So, I mean, now I would say maybe they have a reason. They probably have a reason to do it now, but I don't think they're gonna do it. I say that because they don't go that far. I don't think so. I mean, maybe now with the new, you know, with the new leader, which is the son. Probably. But again, you never know what's gonna happen in the future.
Why Pete Hegseth, when he's talking out of his ass from the Pentagon, he's saying, well, the Iranian IEDs that hit us in Iraq, and it's like, hey bro, that's not true. And even if it was true, that was 20 years ago in the first Gulf War we should have never been in. So your point is narrow. Your point is empty. It's a mute point, really. Makes no sense. You know, it's like, hey, the first stupid war that we should have never been in was actually a ton of Iranian involvement was involved in it. And so, you know, these people are bad people. They're terrorists. And it's like, you're an idiot. You know, you're not making a good point here. And they've been running with it, but it's not working. And increasingly, the attack against the GOP has become more consistent. It's become more linear or parallel. A lot of people have now turned their back on MAGA. You know, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, to name a few. So it's really just like a sinking ship. You know, I suppose Trump might as well try and do what he can before November, right? He's still got some time. November's going to roll on us really quickly, but he's still got some time. Let's see if, you know, he can make Iran wiggle out some sort of concession. But it's going to take a very brutal and aggressive military campaign before they even come close to that, because they're fighting for their existence. And this is a war of regime change. And by the way, interestingly enough, now I'm using Patrick Bet-David to make my points. Patrick Bet-David is even acknowledging this as well. Iran may have found the world's biggest weakness. It says 97% of global internet traffic runs through 750,000 miles of undersea cables. And Iran is now threatening to play with or touch or potentially even cut off those cables, which will cut internet supply, cables, which will cut internet supply to countries like India and others in Asia. And so now they're playing with these underground internet cables. By the way, a lot of internet is derived from these cables underground, these like whatever maritime cables, whatever you would call them, these fiber optic cables that are responsible for transferring data, owned by Meta and all these big tech companies. Now Iran is saying, hey, these cables run under the Strait of Hormuz. That's our backyard. That's our territory. Those are our waters. Who's to say we can't touch those cables as well? And so they're going to make things even more difficult for the world. And maybe that's not something they will exercise now as an option because of the ceasefire, and they've had some breathing room. I get that. But if the war restarts, why would that be off the table? And that's increasingly concerning. India without internet is going to have an economic backlash on the United States. There will be some sort of ripple effect against the entire world and us as well. And we've already been suffering enough. So there won't be a shortage of oil in the United States. I get that, but the price won't go down. And, you know, since we're talking about it, let's see where oil is currently.
I just checked for today. It's at 90. It's going to go back up again, probably.
Hopefully it's down. Seems like we're at 111.
Oh, it was at 111. God damn.
Is that correct? Is this website updated? Yeah, Brent Crude, we're at 111.
That's bad. That's
crazy,
really bad.
Crazy stuff, huh?
That is actually very bad.
So it's
That's
up about
very
$4 or $5 since the last time I was live. And remember, we were hovering around 107, 108. Trump would say something on Truth Social that wasn't true, would go back down. It'd go back to like 110, 115. Again, he would do that. But now it's at 111, and this is another sign the war is about to restart. The oil's at 111, and Trump is saying on Truth Social, we are going to hit Iran again. So there's like no plan.
Amanhã, senhora. Não te ponhas a fazer barulho. I love you.
Or effort to really calm the.
Eu vou para a fisioterapia. Tu não te ponhas a pé às 11 horas para ir onde tens que ir. É para ver se depois mais buscar. Tchau.
Não consegui te buscar, simples. Autocarro.
Global oil market, oil's at 111, and you say, for Iran, the clock is ticking. They better get moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. And
the fuck was that? But I knew you. Okay.
And so oil, in response to this, would likely go up, but also Donald Trump doesn't seem to have any thought about the oil price.
Yeah,
he
they
doesn't
don't
seem
care.
to care anymore. Like
I mean, he literally has said it in a social post, or like in a video. He literally admitted he doesn't give a shit about people like suffering because of the economy, food, electricity, and shit like that. By the way, get a pack of tissues. He literally admitted in front of everybody he doesn't care about people's like suffering when it comes to the economy, food, or like gas, electricity. He does not give a shit. He only cares about Iran, even though it's a lie. And about the nuclear bomb. Like,
previously.
You know.
So maybe it's time. Maybe it's actually time that the United States gets back into this war. And hey, 4 or 5 days, what do you know? It's May 17th. Did we not tell you so? Did we not tell you so? So, gases went down. Yeah, because they did something to make that happen. I forgot what it was. They did some, I can't remember the article. If somebody remembers in the chat, let me know. Anyways, okay. But yeah, that's kind of the situation. They're more or less the same, right? Like no major difference. No major difference. It honestly gets tiring seeing this. And I like to see.
I do agree. It gets to a point where it's actually tiresome. It's always the same fucking shit constantly. Like every week, it's the same thing. They keep doing the same shit, same fucking stupidity.
I don't want the war to persist. I don't want it to continue. But at the same time, it's like, yo, the strait is blocked. Something has to happen. Something's got to give. And Iran, maybe inadvertently, I admit, is provoking the United States to start the war. But again, key word is inadvertent. I don't think they mean it, but they don't seem to be worried about the fact that closing the strait is a provocation against the United States to get back into the war. If Iran opened the strait, I don't think we'd be nearly as desperate to start this war back up. You know, and I say that because, you know, people say, oh, the nukes. The nukes are an afterthought. The nukes are an afterthought because, again, we knew they weren't going to make one. The director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, just a year ago, that wasn't that long ago, just a year ago, said Iran is not making a nuclear weapon. There is no imminent nuclear threat coming out of Iran. And everybody in the IC says the same thing. So it wasn't about nukes. Trump knew that. Of course, Trump knew that. It was for regime change. People say, oh, it's strategic purposes against China. China gets their oil from Iran. They will continue to get it for super cheap. Yeah, they did get some from the Gulf, but it could be rerouted. Also, these ships that are responsible for delivering to any country that's beneficial for China or China as well may be let through the strait for free.
I'll come back in a second, guys. Come back in a second. There you go, I'm back. Oh my god, bro. I hate allergies with a fucking passion, bro. Allergies are fucking worse. They're a fucking pain in the ass. That's all it is. The pain in the fucking ass. Let's continue.
China runs on coal anyways, really, for the most part. The Venezuelan oil cutoff didn't make much of a difference, maybe 3 to 4%, negligible. These are like small chinks in the armor. You know, this is like throwing pebbles at a tank. This is not how you take China off of being the front runner for power against the United States. It's not. And anybody who thinks that has no understanding of the way the world works. Starting a forever war in the Middle East against Iran, Persia, a country fortified by mountains, 90 million people, 250,000 armed guards on the ground, with an almost nuclear weapon ready to go at any point if their sovereignty is threatened, which it has now been threatened. That's to deter China? I'm sorry. How did you piece the two together? Where did you find that connection? Let me know.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Let me know. And these guys try to explain it. They sound retarded. They sound retarded. This is the last thing. This is not a last-ditch effort to throw China off of this power scale. Just shut up. You have no clue what you're talking about whatsoever. And that's evident if you try to make that connection. This is not to weaken China. Some say that may be a benefit that wasn't intentional. It's going to be a byproduct of the war. No, it won't. No, it won't. And China's giving Iran whatever they need to stay in this, by the way. China wants this to end, but they need Iran to stay in it. And so they've given Iran satellite, they've given Iran radar technology, they've given Iran missiles that allegedly, I read this out of Reuters in the beginning of the war, Reuters, missiles that are allegedly made to hit amphibious assault vessels, big US Navy destroyers, USS Gerald R. Ford, that had the fire, although we read it was potentially an Iranian drone. I mean, China's helping. Russia is also helping. Obviously, Russia's got their own battle, but it seems like Russia's starting that back up as well. So they've got their own problems to face with NATO and Ukraine and all this stuff. They got to be the #1 supplier of gas in Europe. They can't let that be threatened by any capacity. And obviously, that's some of the motivation for the attack in Ukraine, right? Ukraine was going to access tons of oil or real gas supply, natural gas supply in the Black Sea, just westward, I believe, of Crimea. And that was something else that threatened Russia a lot. And so that's why they formally annexed it, or informally annexed it, in 2014. And then also Luhansk, Donetsk, all these other provinces, the Donbass as a whole now belongs to Russia, at least most of it. So, you know, it's like people say, oh, Russia, China. It's like, bro, that has nothing to do with nothing, bro. That has nothing to do with anything. This is for Israel, okay? It's like, I don't want to go so crazy here. You know, we're on this platform, but why do you think Mark Levin was jumping for joy when the war started? Mark Levin was jumping for joy. Yes, President Trump, this is the best thing you've ever done. They were all so happy. Ben Shapiro has always been critical of Trump. Has always, I know he was pro-Trump, but Ben Shapiro will be honest. If a Trump policy is good or bad, at least domestically here at home, the moment the Iran war kicks off, this is the best thing that we've ever seen. Like, they all love this, you know? So,
yeah, true.
WK-deals bij Coolblue. Jij bent klaar.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Okay, there you go. We don't care. Here we go. Next update of the war.
100% of the time, that's a problem.
The AIPAC. AIPAC destroys Soma's mass.
If you vote with the Democrats almost 100% of the time, that's a problem. You know, we've got exceptionally slim majorities in the House and Senate. I will say in the past year, with President Trump in the White House, with the Republican Senate, with the Republican House, we have accomplished more in the past year than in any year since you and I have been alive. And I have no time for people that just say, no, 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 I don't want to do anything. The stakes are too high. We're not screwing around. This is not a game. If you want to just criticize everything, go write an op-ed online. Go write a blog online. But if you're going to take a congressional seat, if you're going to have a vote, particularly if we had a 250-vote majority in the House, fine, you could vote no, it doesn't matter. But with the excruciatingly narrow vote, we can't mess around with this. We've got to deliver real results. And the message that I had to my colleagues over and over again, the message, look, I've spent a decade as President Trump's strongest ally in the Senate.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
And I'm focused on working with the president to deliver real results. And if you're not focused on that, that's a real problem.
AKA, if you don't cuck for the president's terrible foreign policy, you will be unseated by Israeli money. That's what he meant to say. And he knows that. Despite him being a nasty, pretty much Zionist, he knows that. And they all know that. They all know that. So, here, let's see some of this speech.
Our job.
And I guess he flirted with the idea of a presidential run at the end of it. Everybody was talking about that. I don't know if he's really serious. But Thomas Massie just wrapped up his concession speech, hinting at a possible 2028 presidential run. Massie says, what was God's purpose? What was he showing us tonight? We're just getting started. The crowd started screaming 28, 28, obviously in reference to the 2028 presidential election. And Massie says, well, you've made a compelling argument.
Back, have me a medical margarita. I'll hang out and party with you all. You know I don't drink recreationally. I have medical margaritas. I even have a medical margarita card. But what happened today, what happened tonight was God's will. And we have to figure out what was the purpose of having the biggest fight ever. Biggest fight ever. Why did it converge on one of 435 congressional seats right here in Kentucky? What was God's purpose? What is he showing us tonight? We're just getting started. I like that. What happens in 2028?
He's acting dumb.
You want me to run for Congress again? I don't know what you're talking about. You've made a compelling argument. You spoke your piece, but I need a medical margarita right now. And we'll talk about it later. Thank you and God bless.
And of course, what happened in the days leading up to the primary election on Tuesday? Well, Mark Levin had a tweet that he had to announce. Take a look at this. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, bro. How could you not see through to this? Mark Levin goes, I had Ed Gowrine, which was the guy who beat Thomas Massie, on my radio show last evening. He's running against Massie. He's a superb patriot, and he'd be a great congressman. I endorsed him then and endorse him now. The election is Tuesday. Turnout is key. Make sure to vote.
Bruh. What the fuck is this shit? Bruh.
It's like, brother, there's no explanation needed anymore. Like, at all, as to what's happening in the United States. Do you really need somebody to break this all down to a molecular level?
Zionists, Jews. We all know, bro. We all know.
Marjorie Greene had some words about it. This was on the 17th, so I think right beforehand. Like I said, I'm late, so I apologize for any of this being redundant. But she says, there were only 4 of us Republicans that signed the discharge petition to force the vote to release the Epstein files. Thomas Massie, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and myself. Trump has come after us one by one ever since then. The president told Speaker Johnson not to allow the vote to happen, but we courageously went against the president and refused to budge and overrode the speaker to force the vote on record. And they're talking about the vote to release the Epstein files. Obviously, Donald Trump wanted the Speaker of the House to block that, because if that actually took surface and actually came up on the desks of all of these congressional members, well, they have no choice but to vote for it. Otherwise, they would look crazy. Anyways, this continues on to go. It was only when all members of Congress had to vote on record did Republicans finally find their intestinal fortitude to do the right thing and vote yes to release the files. Until then, they were absurdly obedient to the president, who was doing everything in his reign of terror to hold them back. Even now, all the files are still not released, and the Epstein class remains protected. Well, not really. I mean, many of them have been exposed. Wars are being waged. I guess in terms of prosecution, yeah, that's totally right. Wars are being waged, the markets are being manipulated, and the average American is being driven further into ruin while the Epstein class reigns and has yet to face any accountability. I will never regret signing that discharge petition, refusing to back down, and resigning, as I want nothing to do with a president and a party that bows to the Epstein class. And so we see two sides here, right? And it just keeps going. It keeps going. I think I have some more statements here from the president himself. This is what President Trump was saying before everything even took off. I think this was on the 17th or the 18th.
Tomorrow, I'm in the Oval Office, and we're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie. He's from Kentucky. I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. He is so bad. Got an election coming up. He's running against a great guy, a great patriot. Ed.
And guys, you got to realize, obviously all of us see this and go, oh, okay, the guy doesn't bow for Israel, so he got unseated. Yeah, but to the average 50, 60-year-old who doesn't know any of this, you see this video of the president, by the way, in which they think he started a favorable war, in which they think he's actually winning the war because they watch Fox News, they consume all the propaganda. They're going to go, oh my God, this is huge. And anybody in Kentucky who's 49 or older, 49 being the median age in Kentucky's 4th congressional district, is going to see this video, who's not privy, not on X, not actually aware of the situation, not actually aware of how the world works, how Israel's hijacked our lobby, or the Israeli lobby has hijacked our government, our Congress. Well, they'll see this and go, oh, well, I got to get out and vote. So this stuff does matter. You know, this stuff does have an effect.
Fantastic. But forget that. Massey's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values. So,
and he can also skew the matter, because we know what it really is. Massey's voting against Trump because him and Trump are fighting. Trump's policy is terrible. Trump's policy is not anti-establishment. Trump's top policy is not for the people. Massey has the ability to discern that in reading a lot of this legislation. But you know, for Donald Trump, all he has to say is, well, this guy has kept voting against me. He's not a real Republican. He's pretty much a Democrat. You know, he wins the people's favor. And so everybody goes out and votes due to what Donald Trump says. And that matters. People try to underestimate that, but that does, you know, kind of make a difference. And here's his comments about Tel Aviv. I'm sure all of you saw this, but just for anybody who needs to catch up on the situation.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrein in Tel Aviv. I did get the call through, though. I have called and conceded the race.
Good Tel Aviv joke, I guess. So anyways, so that's the situation in Kentucky. Again, I am not surprised. I don't think many people are surprised. We all know that. But one thing I'll say, one thing that I think is worth mentioning, right? Not to yap and babble. I think, and this is a hot take, Israel has been the strongest they've ever been in regards to their influence on the United States and how they have their tentacles entangled in Congress and everything else. Their lobby has grown far stronger with the Trump administration, at least in the second term, than it ever really has been. I mean, really think about it. You go all the way back to 2001 and 2002 and 2003. You have the situation of 9/11, and that really kickstarted, that was the outset for the United States being militarily involved to a heavy degree in the Middle East. Obviously, War on Terror, Operation Iraqi Freedom, us toppling Saddam Hussein in 2003 and 2004. And one can argue, and this is the truth, this is what I argue, is that Israel brought us into that conflict and every other conflict after that, or even prior to that, because we were bombing Iraq before that and other places in the Middle East, which is how we stemmed or really motivated Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden to come from where they came from. It was due to U.S. intervention, or U.S. intervention, and us robbing these Muslim Arab countries of their right to self-determination, which was kind of the entire motivation or the birthplace for quote-unquote Islamic terrorism. And I've spoken about that ad nauseum, and I've made a video about it, but that's something important to understand, so I'm not negating that. However, you've got to couple in and really understand that at least George Bush had reasoning that was organic stemming from the country. You know, a lot of Americans were disheveled. They had grievances that Islam is a problem and these Muslims are taking over and they're going to keep bombing major hubs and metropolitan areas and kill large populations or numbers of people. And so we need to fight this war on terror. We need to free the Islamic people. We need to free the Muslims in the Middle East from Al-Qaeda and all these other terrorist factions that are taking over the world little by little. And this was, of course, because Osama bin Laden didn't help the matter. His provocation always echoed the idea that he is going to take over the world. He's going to topple America. That was kind of like the shadowy rhetoric. However, if you read his letter to America, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit like, hey, you're cucked to Israel, and we don't like that, so we're going to fight you until you free Palestine, which is why we always say the Palestinian issue is very important to understand if you actually want to get a good grasp as to why we're involved in the Middle East and why the Middle East has never been a stable region in the last 70, 80 years, really. And largely the last 30 years have been worse than prior to that. So at least George Bush had the plausible deniability of going, yeah, Netanyahu wants this war, yeah, Israel wants this war, but it serves us as well because these Islamic terrorists are now attacking US soil. We have to nip this in the bud before it becomes uncontrollable. And so, you know, mistake, George Bush was one of the most unfavored presidents ever. His approval rating was terrible around 2008, 2007, when the recession actually kicked in and Barack Obama had to step in and quote unquote clean it up. But, you know, George Bush was largely unpopular. However, at least he had that organic sentiment, like we need to get involved in the Middle East, right? There was a large crowd from the United States that was not privy to the whole JQ Israeli thing yet, and so they wanted that war just as much as the president did. Whatever. Fast forward, Barack Obama enters office, and he again cucks for Israel. I'm not saying he doesn't. Obviously, he starts the war in Syria, or he gets involved in the Syrian conflict. You have ISIS. He creates a mess trying to contain the matter. He actually arguably births ISIS and all these other terrorist factions and these fractured groups that step out and commit more Islamic terrorism in places like Berlin and Paris. And so Barack Obama is not free from blame either. His foreign policy is horrible, some of the worst the United States has ever seen, arguably just as bad as Trump's. However, maybe Trump striking Iran was beyond the pale, and so now Trump is worse than Obama. But regardless, Obama's foreign policy, what I'm trying to elucidate, foreign policy was terrible. And then the situation in Libya and everything else, Obama didn't have it figured out. But at least Benjamin Netanyahu did not get what he wanted in regards to a war in Tehran. Obviously, and we've had CIA officials or former CIA say this, and I mean, this is just common sense now, Benjamin Netanyahu has begged the last 4 or 5 sitting US presidents to start a war in Iran, and every single president said, look, we'll launch our military operations in the Middle East wherever you need us in microdoses, but we're not about to start a full-scale war with Iran. Persia, the unconquerable nation of 2,000 years, fortified by mountains, a population of 90 million people, crazy Shia clerics. The IRGC is technologically advanced a lot more than that of any other country that we face in the Middle East so far, and those were already difficult conflicts to go through and finish. And so no, we're not going to attack Iran. That's dangerous. That's beyond the pale. We don't want to poke the bear. We know they're playing with nukes anyway, so we'll condemn them. We'll say that we're going to attack, maybe even going that far, but we're not actually going to start a full-scale war or invasion, which is what Netanyahu had wet dreams about since 1996, and even prior to that. He always said he wants to topple the Iraqi regime, he wants to topple the Syrian regime, he wants to topple the regime in Iran. That was his main goal because Iran is home to the axis of resistance. We all know this. However, even fast forward more, Joe Biden, he gives Israel a lump sum of $12 billion after October 7th, and so I'm not freeing.
That is, bro. I heard that, I was shocked. I was like, what the fuck is America doing?
Any of these presidents from being cucks for Israel. We all know they served Israeli interests, but there was a threshold, there was a limit. And this is the biggest thing to understand. Obama, on his way out, did something to kind of remedy all the damage he created in the Middle East, and he brokered a deal with Iran to halt and draw back their uranium enrichment to 3.67%, which is no longer anywhere near weapons grade, just enough to power power plants and anything else that's needed domestically. But in regards of weapons grade uses or malicious uses, he pretty much de-armed or disarmed Iran for the large part, at least for the foreseeable future. The IAEA was involved in inspections, and so they always came out and said Iran was very compliant in these inspections, and so Iran was no longer this real like pressing nuclear threat, and anybody with half a brain knew that. And now Obama's obviously parading. Just recently in an interview he said, well, no one trusted me and I had it all figured out, and that is true, but that doesn't relieve him of all the mistakes he made in the Middle East. I think Obama actually has more innocent Muslim blood on his hands than Bush. In Syria and Libya, he's killed millions of innocent Muslims. So Obama's not free from the matter, but at least Obama did something on his way out to set up the future a little bit better. And then comes in Joe Biden, or obviously Donald Trump in his first term. Donald Trump in his first term in 2016, immediately upon election, well, really 2 years after, I believe it was 2018, he says, we're going to pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal. So he eradicates any possibility of diplomacy with Iran by pulling out of the deal, which, by the way, gives them every reason to resume their aggressive nuclear enrichment or uranium enrichment of 60%, which is exactly what they do within moments of Donald Trump saying he pulls out of the deal likely. And so not only does he say no longer are we in a deal with Iran and destroys all possibilities of diplomacy with this very touchy country like a hot rod, but then he greenlights the IRGC as a terrorist organization, kills all their leaders, tries to weaken their military from the inside out, and this is obviously a ploy. This is a setup to eventually invade Iran and regime change them or destroy them from the top down, decapitate their regime, have somebody else who is Israeli backed or US backed step into power, plant them at the top of the pyramid without climbing up, and then now the United States has their tentacles all in Iran, and the United States is not worried about Iran as this nuclear threat. That's what they say on paper, and really the biggest benefit and the biggest beneficiary is Israel. Now they get to say, well, we don't have to worry about this terrorist regime and this proxy network. Now we can take over the region and expand our borders in our aggressive project of annexation of southern Lebanon and Gaza and the West Bank and everything else. And so I'm just giving you the timeline here because I want to make this point that I don't think anybody else has really mentioned as I've seen lately. You gotta realize Donald Trump did the thing that every president didn't do. And this was the finale. This was, look, Iraq was one thing, but Iraq was a growing nation. It wasn't established just yet. And Saddam Hussein, look, you had the reason. He invaded Kuwait. He was crazy. He tried to invade Iran, and we kind of backed him in a way, especially in the beginning. But regardless, Saddam Hussein, you had something to argue about there. But Iran, there's literally no argument. There's literally no argument whatsoever. They had to lie about Bashar al-Assad, and they said these things about him, and he was a horrible leader, but the United States got involved to a point where we exacerbated the matter, and we said we didn't want Russian Air Force in there, and we didn't want Soviet air power, and whatever. So I'm saying all this to say maybe there was some benefit in prior Middle Eastern intervention, which there isn't, but I'm being gracious so I can make this point stick out even more. Donald Trump attacks Iran, and really think about it. There's only two real reasons that come to everybody's mind as to why Donald Trump would make such a grave mistake. This is the most popular thing that everybody says. Donald Trump is controlled by Israel and they blackmail him with some sort of information the world does not privy to. And I mean, maybe that's true.
It makes sense.
I'm not taking that off the table. I'm not saying that that's not a legitimate assertion. There certainly holds weight, and I think that's become obvious in the last year with the release of the Epstein files and how he tried to press for them to not be released, and he fought hard for the FBI to redact his name as much as they could in every place possible. We get that. But, the real issue with Donald Trump, and this might seem so simple, but it's actually the biggest thing that people kind of fail to realize. And I say this and then people think I'm this far left liberal. No, I'm just calling him out for what he is. And this is how I guess you can really quantify me as a true Republican, somebody who really cares about the United States and has our best vested interest in mind. Donald Trump is a psychomaniac narcissist who's obsessed with power and getting back at people. And so for the Israeli lobby, this is the perfect way to exploit him in order for them to reach the means to their end, in order for them to actually achieve their goals. Simple translation, in other words, Donald Trump is an idiot. It's easy to manipulate him. It's easy to take his enemies or people who try and undermine him and put a spin on it so it can serve our interests in tandem. And that's what I think they've done effectively with Iran. Think about it. Benjamin Netanyahu visited Donald Trump several times in the beginning of the year and even the end of the year. And at the end of everything, he's bombing Iran. What do you think Benjamin Netanyahu was telling him? Maybe he was hanging blackmail over his head, or maybe he was just stroking his ego saying, you toppled Venezuela, you did this, that in the Middle East, you killed the ISIS leader, you killed Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, you killed Qasem Soleimani, you can go in and topple Iran. And so for Donald Trump, it's like stroking his ego gets him on your page. And I think that's what Israel has done so perfectly. This Thomas Massie situation is the best example. The Israeli lobby obviously hates Thomas Massie. They've hated him for the longest amount of time because he's always been against their policy. He's always been the Achilles heel in Congress, and he's one guy. He doesn't make up a majority, but he's still a problem. And symbolically, he's even more of a problem than anything because his popularity has risen to a level no one actually foresaw in the last year and a half or 2 years, ever since October 7th. But Donald Trump is also enemies with this guy. And so Donald Trump is destroying his own country by telling the world to vote for Ed Galrein. Yet if it serves his own ego and his own interests, so be it. He'll let that message come out as strongly as it needs to if it means he looks like the winner. And we watched something on TikTok the other day. Donald Trump was talking about in this old interview in the 90s or the 80s that all he cares about is getting back at people and having his revenge served. And so it's like the easiest in for the Israeli lobby to go, oh, well, you know, Thomas Massie, we don't like him and you don't like him either, so work with us. And Donald Trump has been the best goy. He has been the absolute launch pad for Israeli foreign policy. And the biggest proof of that not only is Massie, but the war in Iran. So people say like, oh, you know, Trump is blackmailed, and I agree. But I also think Trump is, and I don't mean to rip on Trump all the time. He's a sitting president. I want to get behind him, but it's very hard to. I think something that no one's mentioning is Trump is just this like narcissistic big baby who's easy to manipulate if you stroke his ego the right way. And he's gone as far as to pull out the Iranian nuclear deal, do all of these things he said he would never do, no new wars, all these things, and at the end of it, start a war with Iran. Look at the meeting he had with Zelensky the other time. A few years back when he was talking with Zelensky and there was that famous White House press briefing and him and Zelensky were arguing. Trump was fighting against aiding Ukraine because Zelensky was not being respectful. Zelensky was being this guy who demanded US aid. He was used to the Biden era. He thought that US military intervention was as good as 1, 2, 3. He didn't have to beg for it. He could boast with our military might behind his back being a guarantee of his safety and him being able to fight an even war with Russia. And Donald Trump stepped in and said, no, I have the cards here. And so you really think about it. It's so easy to get Donald Trump to do whatever you want him to do. You have a lot of money and you have common enemies. Well, then, 1 and 2, ABC, it's just kind of easy for him to get exactly what he's looking for. True. And that's a war in Iran, even though that serves Israel interests. That's Thomas Massie losing, even though, again, that serves the Israeli lobby's interests. And it just goes on like this. On and on and on and on. Students who have visas, who are here temporarily, if they say free Palestine, they get kicked out of the country. That is certainly a violation of the First Amendment. You say free Palestine under the Trump administration, and now you're a Hamas sympathizer, and you're under the FBI watch list, or better yet, you're deported. And it's like, yeah, this is actually not Republican. This is not conservative. This is not America First. Every single policy that's been enacted by this administration from its inception, or really the second term, has been for Israel. That's why Ben Shapiro has been the biggest Trumpy. Mark Levin has been the biggest Trumpy. And all the America Firsters have been slowly disassociating from Donald Trump, like Megyn Kelly, like Tucker Carlson, like Alex Jones. Alex Jones paraded Trump. He was Trump's #1 man. And now Alex Jones has finally conceded and said,
sans vouloir te vexer, si tu participes pas à l'événement qu'on organise, alors que tu t'intéresses à la bourse ou au trading, tu...
I'm actually not with Trump anymore. Trump is so it's like, look at where everything is going. Trump is Israel. Trump is literally Jewish. Mark Levin put his hand over his shoulder and said, or his arm over his shoulder rather, and he said, this is the best Jewish president. I mean, bro, and there's still people out here walking around going, make America great again. I love Donald Trump and we're good in the midterms and everything he's done has been in the benefit of the United States. And he just unseated Massie and went out of his way to slander him on Truth Social and made this video and pumped all this money into his opponent. And it's obvious, it's so easy for Israel and the Israeli lobby to weaponize his anger and his extreme and almost satanic desperation for revenge in order to serve their interests. And that's exactly what he's done. Trump is cataclysmic. He's very like, I can't even put it into words. He's just somebody that will stop at nothing to ensure he has the upper ground, even if it means completely undermining the American people. And we went over this on stream the other day. I was trying to kind of like psychoanalyze Trump with everybody. It was a late night stream. I can't remember what day it was, but I can actually pull up the clip here if I'm able to find it in the queue. It was Donald Trump in an interview years ago saying how he is obsessed with revenge. And I mean, think about it. This is the perfect thing for Israel to weaponize for their own interests. And that's exactly what they have done. Let's see if I can find the interview here. It's an interview from a long time ago.
About getting even, the importance of getting even. Is revenge sweet?
I believe strongly in getting even. If somebody has hurt you, if somebody's gone out of their way to hurt you, I think that if you have the opportunity, you should certainly go out of your way to do a number on them. And I've had more criticism about that one statement in my book than any other statement. The clergy is called, the ministers, the priests, the rabbis. They've all said, what a terrible thing to say. That's against our teachings. I just believe it. I believe in an eye for an eye.
If you did turn the other cheek, as the clergy are presumably suggesting to you, what would that do to your reputation in business circles here in New York?
Hazardous, thank you for the gifted.
Well, I don't know what it would do to my reputation. I just don't believe instinctively in turning the other cheek. If somebody was out to hurt you, if somebody was out to do a number on you, I really believe that you should just do a number on them if you get the chance.
Can you give me an example?
Well, there were people that I really helped in business when things were very good in the 1980s and when my company was going good. And they did not lift a finger to help me when I needed it. And there were a couple of them that could have very easily helped me. Now I have the opportunity to do a number on those people, and I will tell you I'm having a lot of fun with the opportunity.
I'm having a lot of fun with the opportunity. So, I mean, you know, that's something as well. Like, Trump is, everybody like steps so far ahead. It's like people try to make it this crazy 5D chess. It's like, yo, bro, I'm sorry to insult the president. He's just an egomaniac. And when you have somebody who's an egomaniac and you whisper the right things in their ear, you can frame it like it serves their interest, but really it serves yours. And I think that's exactly what the Israeli lobby has done, because think about how cucked he's been. You know, blackmail, sure, but I mean, Israel would have blackmail on every president. Why wouldn't they have blackmail on Biden? Why wouldn't they have blackmail on Obama?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name.
No, I don't. Here we go. Oh, this is a fucked up one. Gaza protesters abused.
Intercepted the flotilla. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition, the protest group behind the campaign, was trying to break Israel's naval blockade of Gaza. And here they are with their hands up. But the Israeli Navy intercepted a protest flotilla attempting to reach the Gaza Strip. So here they are. They get on the ship and arrest everybody. We watched this before. Hazardous, thank you so much for the one gifted. Appreciate you, bro.
So much impunity, such a lack of accountability from anyone in the global leadership, from any countries, that somebody like Ben-Gvir feels very comfortable posting videos like that.
Ben-Gvir's post drew outrage both in Israel and abroad, including rare criticism from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And let me tell you, these guys are parallel in interests, but he has to say this to avoid public condemnation or global condemnation. Netanyahu said in a statement that the minister's behavior was, quote, not in line with Israel's values and norms. Oh, okay, so, yeah, shoving protesters to the ground who are trying to deliver food to Gaza, not in line with Israel's norms, but bombing kids for 2 years, no problem.
It's good. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Nice, yeah, nice.
And here's some more footage. And they're screaming in agony. Here he is saying, don't get worked up by their screams. The 430 people detained included Italian, Spanish, and French nationals. Okay, so I'm sorry, not German, Spanish. Leaders and officials of these countries condemn Ben-Gvir's actions.
Ese tratamiento es monstruoso. Es indigno. Es un...
So, Foreign Affairs Minister of Spain says, that treatment is monstrous, it is disgraceful, it is inhumane. I demand a public apology from Israel. Isn't that crazy?
Públicas a Israel.
And nothing probably.
Legal experts said the treatment of the activist in Ben Gvir's video most likely violates international law. No, it does. It doesn't most likely.
No,
It definitely does.
It does. 100%.
The interception was illegal. A legal team said that all activists were released from prison on Thursday ahead of being deported. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so, you know, Ben Gvir, this guy is an extremist. You know, people
He's a
talk about
piece of
jihadis. This is a Jewish jihadi. You know, you want to talk about terrorism and extremism. This is the same guy who parades somebody who's responsible for a massacre of like 29 Palestinians back in 1994, I believe. His name is Baruch Goldstein. This guy massacred and slaughtered a ton of Palestinians. It received global condemnation. Ben Gvir has a framed portrait of this guy in his house.
Bruh.
Ben Gvir is also the same guy who just helped pass legislation in Israel to hang any Palestinian prisoner without a real due process, and then they celebrated with noose pins on their suits, popping champagne, and his wife just recently on his birthday gave him a cake with a noose ribbon on it, or like a noose, like a rope.
And then people say that Israel they're good. No, they're not. They're clearly not, bro.
Emblem on top of the cake. And so you see these things and it's like, who's actually the terrorists here?
Who are actually the bad
you
people
talk about
here?
the other Muslim countries. I mean, this is right at home in store in Israel. So it's crazy. This is the same guy who goes to the Temple Mount, which is where Masjid al-Aqsa is, the third holiest site in Islam, very, very sacred to billions of Muslims around the world, where the Palestinians are brutally occupied militarily, hit with the butts of guns when trying to enter the mosque to pray. My friend was beaten to death almost there, back about a year and a half ago in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Bruh.
And he would take this extremist Israeli entourage to the Temple Mount and make it seem as if though, and he's pretty much echoing the idea that they're going to destroy the mosque. And he does this provocatively all the time. This guy is a nutcase. Here, and I'll show you some of these clips. I'm not lying when I tell you this is the real deal. He's not, none of this is conspiratorial. This is him parading that law.
Israel's parliament on Monday passed a law making the death penalty the default sentence for Palestinians convicted of deadly attacks in military courts.
You're celebrating for killing people. How is he not being with the consequences? Where's the consequences? Where are they? Not a lot of people know about this. That's even more fucked up. Not a lot of people know about this.
Happy as a clam. Pouring up shit.
And they have the news.
Champagne.
Bro.
I assume it's alcoholic. I don't know. What happened to the Torah, I guess? I didn't think that was okay. I don't know if Jews are allowed to do that.
Those are pledged by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right allies. Far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir promoted the measure.
From today onward, every
and here you can see
the
noose pin. And bear in mind, Palestinians are never actually arrested in the West Bank or in any Palestinian occupied territory for good reason. You can look at an IDF soldier funny and that can be enough to get you arrested. Palestinians will tell you that.
How does that make sense? You look at a fucking IDF soldier, you go to jail? How does that? It makes no sense.
terrorists shall know, and the whole world shall know, he who takes life, the state of Israel will take his life. This justice needs to be seen and done, and starting tomorrow morning, with the help of the blessed God, it will be done.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, meanwhile, condemned the legislation, saying it's a breach of international law and a doomed bid meant to intimidate Palestinians. The measure has drawn international criticism of Israel, which is already under scrutiny for increasing violence by Jewish settlers against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. It includes provisions requiring an execution by hanging within 90 days of sentencing, with some allowance for delay, but no right to clemency. Palestinian militant groups Hamas and Islamic Jihad called on Palestinians to launch attacks in revenge for the law. Israel abolished the death penalty for murder in 1954.
So yeah, that's the case with this guy.
That's so fucked up, bro.
And of course, he's abusing these detainees coming off of the flotilla. No surprise there. Here's his wife giving him a birthday cake decorated with a noose on top of it.
Bro, celebrated when the law was fucking confirmed. For some reason, it was approved of them killing people for no reason. He's celebrating, and he's getting a cake with, like, bro, on top of that, with the symbol of a noose for some people to get hanged. Like, what the fuck? Where's the law? How, like, this is literally against national laws. Where are the consequences? It's incredible. It's fucking incredible. When it comes to shit like this, there's no consequence, but it comes to someone that shows the proof and the truth, they get everything, every single fucking consequence. It's so dumb. How are they not getting the consequences? You should be in prison. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck, bro?
Are you kidding me? Are you literally kidding me? Like, how is this okay in any sense?
This is not okay
like,
at all.
I get it, whatever. The US is gonna protect Israel. That's the way it is, whatever. But is there any point where it gets to be too far? Like, can we get some sort of US condemnation? JD Vance and Donald Trump are always hammered with the question about the annexation of the West Bank. It looks like Israel's trying to annex the West Bank. What are you guys going to do? They say, oh, don't worry about it. And meanwhile, this guy is celebrating that he can hang Palestinian prisoners who are likely innocent.
We are missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day.
Bruh. Fuck off.
This is the original footage from when they intercepted.
That is fucked up, bro. That's very fucked up. We're on the last video, though. Here we go. This is the last video of the stream, guys, of the update of the war and what's going on in the Middle East.
Breaking news, Trump put this up on Truth Social. I know you guys saw it already. I was watching with you when I was watching my brother's stream. However, he named all of these leaders. Interestingly enough, a lot of leaders that were not involved in any sort of peace negotiation prior are now all over this. He's talking to Fattah al-Sisi. He's talking to Erdogan of Turkey. I mean, these guys were not really involved. Turkey a little bit, especially at the outset of the war. But, you know, Egypt has largely been kind of uninvolved for the most part. And so it's interesting to see that he's talking to every single Middle Eastern leader. And I gave my prediction. I'll tell my brother right now before he gets back. But I gave my prediction. I really do think that this will probably be a short-lived pause. And look, it could last even a year. I don't know if this is a total end or halt to the onslaught on Iran. And the reason why is because we started this war, or at least the Trump administration started this war, with the goal of decapitating the regime, of changing the leadership structure in Iran. That was the reason we started the war, is because Donald Trump, maybe from a false sense of confidence that Netanyahu inflicted upon him, wanted to overthrow the leader and have a U.S.-Israeli-backed leader installed at the top, which is something the United States is notorious for doing, not only in the Middle East, but honestly in South America, historically, and everywhere else. And so it's something we tried in Iran, and it obviously did not work as smoothly as it did in, let's say, Venezuela. And because of that, I think we're drawing back, looking at the board again, and seeing how we can restart this war in a little bit more of an effective way. Now, obviously, Israel is not happy. I've been looking at Israeli media. I've been looking at Israeli Twitter. I've been trying to, at least, and
of course,
from what I'm gathering, it seems like they're not happy about this. And the reason is because we're pausing the war and we're allowing Iran more time to build up their stockpile, to build up their nuclear program, to continue
Of course they're
enrichment.
not
Now, I
happy.
don't
Who
know if
is
this
they're not
deal
gonna
is
be
going
happy,
to
bro?
include them bringing back their enrichment. Apparently it is. That's what Suleiman was saying. It might go back to 3.67%, which is what it was at the JCPOA. So it's like we pulled out of the Iranian nuclear deal to destroy a lot of their infrastructure, charge up their military, make them angry, install their more extreme son, Mujtaba Khamenei, instead of Ali Khamenei, who hates the United States, and then just tell them they can go back to 3.67. So it's all like, all right, this was for nothing, which is, again, why I don't think, forgive me, I know I sound terrible, why I don't think the war is really going to end here, because it just doesn't make any sense for the United States, right? If the goal was 3.67 enrichment of uranium, which is not weapons grade, but just enough for any sort of civilian endeavor, like powering a power plant or something like that, well, then we would have never started the war. Obviously, we started the war because we wanted total regime change, or at least a large structure of the regime changed. We wanted the populace to rise up, take back the government. Never forget what MAGA started with when they started this war. They said, Trump is begging the people, or rather the people of Iran are begging Trump to continuously bomb. They're like, why are bombs not dropping? So we spun this as if it was like something where Iran was desperate for us to step in, when we really created a rally around the flag effect in the country, and they became charged up as a fact and stood behind the IRGC if they did not prior. Goodness. Okay. So anyways, this is Rearum's post. I don't know if my brother went over this. He put this up about 10 minutes ago. But details on the agreement between the U.S. and Iran, according to Al Jazeera. Now, I don't know if this is official, but we're getting some sources leaked out of Washington Post and Al Jazeera, so we'll take it for what it is. It says, end of war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Now, I'll just start here before I continue. I know I'm yapathon.
That's probably not
This
true,
really
but-
doesn't seem likely to me.
Yeah, it's not true.
Because Israel always has the ability, and I've said this before.
Yeah, Israel's gonna
always
continue,
has
probably.
the ability to just agitate and restart the conflict. All they need to do is bomb southern Lebanon, say Hezbollah's attacking us, Hezbollah did this, Hezbollah did that,
Yeah,
and
true.
they can start the war right back up at a moment's notice. And of course, if southern Lebanon, which is a stronghold for an Iranian proxy, that being Hezbollah, is attacked, well, then that's grounds for Iran to start the war back up, or better yet, close the Strait of Hormuz again, or launch the speedboats into the strait, or hurl threats at these oil vessels that are not military, saying we're going to throw drones into the water if the United States and Israel does not stop attacking Lebanon, because they look at the US and Israel as one foe. Justifyingly, by the way. I mean, why would you not look at that? That makes sense. Or why would you not look at it that way? That makes sense. The United States and Israel are synonymous with one another. So they look at Israel attacking Lebanon as the United States being involved, because our tax dollars are funding those strikes that are hitting their Iranian proxy home to southern Lebanon anyways. But regardless, I digress. We move on here. Freeing several $billions from Iran's blocked funds. Again, this is a huge L for the Israeli side, because the whole real crux of the JCPOA, the reason why Israel was unhappy about it, and Netanyahu actually flew to Washington and got a standing ovation from Congress condemning it, is because we opened up Iranian funds in so that they can likely fund their proxies. And so that was the main concern from Netanyahu, as well as a couple other things relating to security. But if Iran gets a ton of this money, yeah, they're going to build their infrastructure, their people will be happier, and so maybe they won't hate the regime as much. That's all unfavorable for Israel, because they want everybody to hate the regime. But the biggest thing is they can give Hezbollah a lot of money. They can give the Houthis a lot of money. They can give the mobilization forces in Iraq a lot of money. They can give Hamas a lot of money even, because there's still some existent remnant of Hamas as well. So this is problematic, again, for Israel. Not for us, who cares, but for them, this matters. And of course, if it matters for Israel, well, then it's going to matter to Donald Trump. Goes on to say, lifting the U.S. naval blockade and opening up the Strait of Hormuz. This is great for both sides. However, and I was saying this, Myron, while you were gone, the issue now with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, and I'm sure the United States is going to set up some sort of preventative measure so this doesn't happen again, at least try to, is now they've got the Strait of Hormuz in their back pocket, and the whole world knows it. So it'll be even more unpopular to restart a war with Iran, because everybody's going to go, well, there goes oil. There goes 20% of the world's oil supply. These oil vessels are being threatened with drones and speedboats. Energy is not going to be in a shortage in Asia and Europe, whatever. So that's unfavorable, because Iran knows they have that in their back pocket. However, if they open it up, no foul, no harm. That's great. And then withdrawal of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran. I'm not sure what that means in detail. I don't know if that pertains to the U.S. bases in the Middle East, like Al Udeid, the biggest one in Qatar, or anything else. But yeah. And then it says, after this, the parties will have 30 days to agree on the nuclear issue. Iran will commit to not building a nuclear weapon in the MOU, but its enrichment in uranium
Ready to unlock Roblox digital gift cards?
Bro, it's fucking gay. Who cares? Next.
Sorry, will not be
Fucking hell,
discussed
bro.
until
So
later.
annoying.
These 30
Shitty
days can
ads.
be extended by mutual agreement. During these 30 days, passage will be facilitated through the Strait of Hormuz, according to Iran. Management of the Strait of Hormuz will be an Iranian-Omani issue, which it was prior, no change there, and is being negotiated with Muscat. So
Yeah, do exactly what
interesting.
what I told you to do that
Very
there
interesting.
in
What
the
are your
middle
first
screen.
thoughts?
Do
'Cause I
exactly
said,
that.
I don't know if this is going to be long term. I don't think it makes sense, because we started this war on the basis of changing the regime or changing the power structure. We didn't get anything we wanted. I think this is just a pause for the pilgrimage, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah,
What do you think?
Suleiman, I was talking with him about this right before I jumped on with you. We were on this conversation specifically. He thinks, which I think is actually a pretty good hypothesis. He thinks that the FIFA World Cup, obviously the pilgrimage, all of these different things going on would just like really create a lot of problems. So apparently, I think they're kind of doing this to kind of potentially rearm, go from there, not lose money because everyone's going to take an L. Let the world recover a little bit, get some oil back in, and then I don't think this is going to be the end of the war, bro. I think at this point Trump understands he's lost militarily, so he just needs to kind of go back and reassess alongside the Israelis.
I agree. And the real simple reason my camera keeps coming out of focus here, it's probably because it's daytime. I don't have it adjusted for this, but the real reason why it only makes sense that this is not over is because the whole point of this war was to get what we wanted. Like, we knew bombing Persia and Iran would be risky, but we did it for the big goal, the big golden prize, which is regime change, right? And that really serves Israel, not really the United States, but the two are synonymous at this point, especially MAGA. And we haven't gotten that. And so, to me, it just seems like we're going to draw back, collect our marbles, kind of recover financially, recover economically, recover militarily, replenish our missile interceptor systems that are critically low in the region that will be guaranteed to be struck if we hit Iran, that being the Middle East. So we're going to replenish on those, the THAADs, the Patriot missile interceptor systems, and everything like that. And then maybe we'll restart anticipating the Strait of Hormuz will be weaponized against us, and that'll make things a little bit different. And I don't think a restart would happen for some time. It maybe be a while, right? But we're getting closer to midterms.
Interceptors. This could go into the midterms. Yeah, good point. Because I think he realizes, like, okay, if I keep doing this shit, bro, I'm already. He has the lowest approval ratings ever right now. He was like at a 37% or some shit.
I thought he was approaching the level of Bush in 08. Has it gotten lower than that? I saw some stat about that. I didn't know if that was true.
Chat, let me know. Last I looked, 37%, one of the lowest, approval ratings ever, especially for Trump.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and take a look at this. I'm glad Suleiman mentioned that, because if you could see my screen, this is from the Middle East Eye. This is 3 days ago. By the way, really good news outlet. They don't get a lot of traction and attention, but
Middle East Eye, bro. I literally just played the Hind Rajab video from them.
Yeah, I was watching some of that. It was tough to watch, but I was watching some of it. Bro, they do really good. Guys, if you don't follow Middle East Eye, you want to know what's going on in the Middle East and Israel and everything, this is a pretty good outlet. I recommend them. Anyways, so they're a little bit, liberal, but they give you the full scoop as to what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
they're woke. Like, take it with a grain of
woke.
salt, but you could still get quite a bit of good from this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But it says here, this is 3 days ago, Trump postponed U.S. attack in Iran. Remember, he said 2-3 days, and then Mohammed bin Salman called him, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, said, yo, chill out. And they pointed to this as one of the main reasons. I'll read it for you guys here. U.S. President Donald Trump postponed a planned attack on Iran this week after being warned by Gulf allies and his own officials not to resume the war during the Hajj pilgrimage, Middle East Eye can reveal. According to two senior Gulf officials, Trump was told that attacking Iran during the Hajj pilgrimage would lead to a crisis within Gulf states, as it would leave hundreds of thousands of pilgrims stranded. The sources also told Trump was told that attacking during the holy period, which leads up to the Islamic festival of Eid al-Adha, which is, I think, Wednesday next week, would further damage Washington's standing in the Muslim world. A senior U.S. official who was familiar with the discussions taking place within the Trump administration confirmed that the conversations had actually taken place. Continues on to say, they said that the United
Okay, so this is the actual reason why he didn't continue anything. Just because of the allies.
States president had been warned by his own officials that resuming the U.S.-Israeli war now would cause a serious, quote, reputational damage for the president. The U.S. previously attacked Iran during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, But doing so during the Hajj period would cause enormous logistical challenges for Saudi Arabia, which hosts around 1 million foreign pilgrims each year. So again, I'll tell Myron's stream really quickly because I kind of briefed this to my stream. So right now we're in the holy month of Islam, and we're going into the Hajj season, which is the time, I'm sure you've all seen the clips where all the worshipers go around the cube a certain amount of times or whatever. And there have been moments and instances in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, which is the holiest city in the Islamic world, where there's like 5 to 6 million worshipers in the mosque at one time.
God
and the record
damn.
breaks every single year. And so you can imagine if Iran is hurling threats to bomb Riyadh or bomb these Middle Eastern nations, they would never bomb Mecca and Medina. That wouldn't make sense because they're a Muslim nation as well. And Shia Muslims still observe these holy cities as legitimate and canon to them. They have their own holy city in Iraq, that being Karbala, but they would never bomb these holy cities. But regardless, even the threat of it would deter pilgrims from going to Saudi Arabia or going to any Gulf countries after, because the real spin with people who do Hajj or people who do Umrah, which is the pilgrimage, the Islamic pilgrimages, is they typically will do the Hajj, they'll do the Umrah, and then they'll go to Qatar or they'll go to Dubai and they'll hang out and they'll spend tons of money and they're paying for hotels. It's very lucrative for the Middle East. This is a very money-making season, as well as the fact that the leaders are all Muslims, so, you know, they observe it as well. So
guys, like their Super Bowl, basically, times like 5.
yeah, exactly. Because I know Christians don't have much of a pilgrimage. I suppose the Church of Holy Sepulchre, but, you know, regardless, that's kind of the spin or the lore there. Muslims spend a lot of money during these months because obviously they're doing the pilgrimage. They go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and Riyadh was bombed during the war. You know what I mean? So, at least in the beginning. And it's just unattractive for these countries to have an ongoing regional war during pilgrimage. And I'm sure that was a big thing that Mohammed bin Salman expressed to Donald Trump over the phone. And he probably told him, look, you want to do it, you do it, just wait for the season to be over. Anyways, those challenges also extend to the Gulf air travel hubs such as Qatar and the UAE and countries in South and East Asia from where many pilgrims embark on their journey. This year's Hajj is set to begin on the 24th of May, so tomorrow, and will span 6 days. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims are already in Saudi Arabia
the day before
the event. And like I said, there are times where there can be, you know, 2-3 million worshippers in the mosque at one time during the.
Qu'est-ce que tu as prévu pour ces vacances d'été? Pas grand-chose? Ça tombe bien, parce que qu'est-ce que tu dirais de participer le 31 mai au Summer Challenge?
Shut up, nigga, bro. Shut the fuck up.
The biggest holy site in the world. It is huge. It's a compound. You know, it's like people think the mosque is just where the Kaaba is, where the cube is, but it's a whole thing. I mean, it's actually really impressive, and it's a billion dollar ongoing project. Sorry?
You went, didn't you?
I went when I was like 13, 14. I haven't been in a while. But from when I went to now, complete difference, because they have to continuously expand the mosque as an ongoing project because of the growing number of pilgrims that go every year. You know, so for Mohammed bin Salman, this is, and I'm not saying this to demonize him whatsoever, but it is lucrative for him, right? Like, it makes the country a lot of money. They're the custodians of the 2 holy mosques of the world's 2nd largest religion. And these people actually go and practice and worship, you know, so it's huge. Medina as well. Medina has a huge compound in Masjid al-Nabawi and even the other masjid, the first mosque in Islam. So, you know, it's not a good time for the war to resume, no doubt. No doubt at all. So this isn't surprising to me, and I saw it coming. And obviously Trump just put this up on Truth Social at 4:30. We saw this. I saw you were reacting to it. But yo, what I found interesting, not that this has any significance besides the fact that this might really be a legitimate temporary peace deal, is he mentioned like leaders of the Middle East that had not been previously involved in the conflict, like Assisi from Egypt, Fattah Assisi. He mentioned Erdogan from Turkey. He was involved in the beginning.
Like, well, most of them, bro. I had to, when I was reading it, I just gave up. I was like, what the bro? This nigga's talking to the Muslim world at this point, bro.
That long ass goat niggas. No, I was laughing. I don't know why he puts all. Why is he doing the full name? Like, Mohammed bin Zayd al-Nahyan, Emir Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa bin al-Thani, Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim bin Jabir al-Thani. Like, bro, just put their first and second. Fair enough. A lot of these niggas do have the same name. It's like Mohammed bin something, but like, damn, bro, he dragged it with some of the names.
Bro, I was pissed. I was like, what the man? Like, damn, man. Like, yo, it's like he purposely writes out Arab names on purpose. Barack Hussein Obama.
100%. He's got to let you know they're brown.
Sorry, if bro sees like an Arab fucking word or a name or some shit, bro, make sure to announce the whole thing.
He's got to let you know they're brown. Barack Hussein Obama. But
only fucking person that does that on earth, by the way.
He's also a horrible writer. He needs like to take an English class again. Horrible writer. Reading his Truth Social posts, especially out loud, I'm like wondering if I'm making mistakes as I'm reading it, but he just doesn't know how to write. But yeah, I'm not gonna read the whole thing.
Didn't he go to like fucking UPenn or some shit? Didn't he go to an Ivy?
Go ahead, check.
Yeah. Okay. Trump earned a Bachelor of Science in Economy from Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania in 1968. Damn, 1968, bro. Yeah. And then he studied for 2 years at Fordham. Yeah, bro. Nigga went to UPenn. This is an Ivy League school, bro. This is one of the best fucking schools in the world.
Yeah, he forgot. He forgot the English lessons, bro.
Bro. Yeah, we used to race niggas, bro. We used to fucking cook these dudes though. These
and
UPenn
niggas. Just for a visual explanation as well. So a lot, again, I know a lot of Christians in here and whatever, but this matters. You know, this is an element that you got to understand as well. Take a look at my screen. So this is the Holy Mosque here, just on the map.
Holy shit, that's
this
huge.
is Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Just to zoom out, give you guys.
It does not look huge because it's in.
But we go in here.
But God, that's huge.
Like this is all the mosque. It is huge.
Holy shit.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. So
bro.
I mean. Yeah, and if we go here,
the mosque is fucking huge.
So there'd be 6 million niggas in there? That's crazy.
6 million.
No pun. So see, like you can see some photos here. It's a very, very, very. It's a compound.
Shit.
You know, it's almost a city.
That's so huge.
It fits a lot of people. So, you know, don't want a war going on while you've got millions of Muslims here. Like this is filled. Like there's no space. Like at all. Especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan, that's when it's like crazy. That's when the records always break. But I mean, bro, this is millions of people who fit
that's
in here.
Huge.
So, not the time for war, according to the Crown Prince. And I wasn't even going to read it, but I guess at the end here, this makes sense. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, Strait of Hormuz will be opened. That's the biggest thing, right? It's like we started this war saying, we're going to kill the leader, we're going to change the people in 4 days. Now it's like, please open the strait, please open the strait. It's like, bro, you went from a fucking demon to a pussy. It's actually crazy. That's so tough. Anyways.
Yo!
This
bro,
is also, yeah, this is also on my.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is.
Congrats.
I also saw something from.
Please open up the strait.
Please open the strait. You're killing my approval rating. Rerum put this up as well. I thought this was interesting. A source close to negotiations told the Washington Times. So it says the U.S. and Iran are expected to announce the finalization of draft proposal of peace by Sunday afternoon. So maybe we'll get in the next 24 hours instead of tonight. Top negotiators, though, Parliament Speaker Mohammed Ghalibaf, so this is the Parliament Speaker, Vice President J.D. Vance, obviously our Middle Eastern envoy, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They approved the draft. So, and they just got to throw J.D. Vance's name in here so he can carry this to the debate stage in 28 and say, I helped stop the war. But you're still laughing at the...
Yo, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you know how I am. I got like a creative imagination. So, like, I'm in my head, like, picturing this shit. It's like, please open up the strait. I know I killed all of you, but just do it. Come on. It's going to be very bad. You don't want power plant day. Okay, just open it up.
Yeah. And you know, that's how you know Iran was really strategically, again, people are going to say I'm pro IRGC. I really don't care. Iran was strategically whooping our ass because he had Donald Trump saying, I'm going to send them back to the Stone Age. He wasn't saying that because he hates Iranians. And
dumbass exit.
Yeah, these dumbasses were saying it because they needed the strait open. Like, yeah, maybe it's because they hate them, I suppose. But the real political and strategic reason, the logical reason is because the Strait of Hormuz being closed was choking the out of the global economy in the United States as well. And so that's where the desperation kind of stems from, is they had to really ensure that Iran would open the strait. And that's why every single peace proposal that we've seen that has failed had the stipulation from the U.S. side of the Strait of Hormuz being entirely open under at least joint control. But yeah, it seems like things are going to go back to the way they were. This is also up as well. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is set to meet tonight with coalition party leaders and senior Israeli security officials to discuss the emerging U.S.-Iran agreement.
Yeah, them niggas ain't. They're gonna keep.
How do you think we can start the war back up? So, guys.
Bro.
Yo, I'm dead. Netanyahu's in the top secret Mossad fortified fucking, what's the hardest substance on earth? He's in some crazy fortified room right now.
Bro, you practice in the mirror? I said, what the fuck?
Nah, bro, I just know how to, I just listen to these niggas and I can spit it back. It's easy, bro. You just deepen your voice and add a little rasp to it.
War. Like, bro, I could picture that niggas sitting around a bunch of other Jewish niggas with yarmulkes. Okay, how can we restart the war? You know?
Yeah, literally. You know, I think this peace deal is regulated. I think we should start the war back up. So, and this is a concerning reality, though. I mean, what's he gonna try to do? You know, is he gonna try and sabotage?
He's definitely been punched in the air in the past 24 hours. I'll say that.
Yeah. Israeli media is super upset.
Yeah, like I already know this nigga punched the wall at least 3 times in the past 24 hours, bro.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, especially for the Israeli government, if the United States releases these frozen funds, which may lead to sanctions relief, whatever, again, that's I highly doubt that. But the biggest thing is if we release these frozen funds, Iran takes that money and they just build more missiles. You know, they build more missiles, they build more drones. That is a big issue for Tel Aviv. But more importantly than that, honestly, is they fund their proxy groups. They fund Hezbollah, they fund all the other ones like I mentioned earlier, and that's detrimental. So for him, he's definitely in a pinch. He's got to figure something out. Now, maybe Trump is telling Netanyahu on the phone in their extended conversations they've been having, look, don't worry, it's only gonna, look, Bibi, don't worry, it's only gonna be 3 months. I'm waiting for the Muslims. I'm waiting for the Muslims to do the Hajj, and I'm gonna bomb them again. Just, you gotta wait. Mr. Mohammed in Saudi is begging me to stop. Because that's the truth. That's the truth. Right?
Yeah,
He really is.
Yeah, it's already bad enough. You know what, bro? It's because keep in mind, bro. This is the last time. Sorry, this is the first time that these niggas have had to lose a ton of money off oil, bro.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's another reason why I think they're like, yo, like we're not, bro. This is non-negotiable. You can't hit these niggas during this time. No.
Exactly. Yeah, Ramadan was already bad enough, but now it's even more dire because the war has been ongoing. You know, so to let this war leak into the holy months and actually deter the pilgrims, that's a no-go for a lot of these Middle Eastern countries that make tons of money on this. So
that was funny.
We'll see.
Trim snel elk hoekje van je garçon met.
So guys, this was the stream. I don't have more time, unfortunately. So there was a peace deal for the Middle East for a little bit, so they can celebrate a religious month in the Middle East, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oil is gonna probably stabilize, and it's more likely that after that it's gonna be the war again. But yeah, as I said before in every single live stream, don't forget to follow me on Kick. We're trying to reach 800 followers. Not only that, we're trying to get verified, so I would appreciate if you participate on the stream by watching the stream, talking in chat, or dropping a sub. We do stream at the same time on YouTube. We're trying to reach 100 subs. We're currently at 87 subscribers, so I'd appreciate it if you can help me reach that goal. Thank you for all the support until now. I do post additional content on other social media, so I'd appreciate if you follow me everywhere and enjoy all the content. And big thank you for the affiliation. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Peace.